and gentlemen, welcome to a meeting of the North Penn School District Board of School Directors, November 18th, 1999. Tonight's meeting is our regularly scheduled action meeting. The meeting is being videotaped for community cable channels. Individuals attending this meeting and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being videotaped. In order to meet the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board come to the microphone and state their name and address. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than 5 minutes. This limit will permit time for all of those who wish to speak to the board. Whenever members of the audience exceed this time limit, the board president may ask the individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker, and this is in reference to board policy 8344.2. At this time, tonight's kind of a special occasion in a variety of ways, but probably the most important way is the fact that Vince Sierpinski is now 40 years of age. And
Happy birthday.
Absolutely. And by any chance, Mrs. Irvin, is there anything in any of the cafeterias or refrigerators in the district that we can give the birthday boy?
I think there is.
You do. How old is that, Mrs. Irvin?
It's only a year old.
Okay.
I just like to take note while we're waiting for her to come up here that I still am the youngest member of the board.
Oh, shut
At
up.
3 years old. Just in case anybody hasn't noticed.
And today is your birthday
was
and
John.
Mickey Mouse's birthday.
Who's
Well,
older?
Sometimes I
we
feel like
celebrate
it.
We
You wanna know the
celebrate
time?
it in all the buildings, and I would like to present you with Mickey Mouse's birthday. You're going to live to be 41 after the
No candle.
There you go.
Happy birthday. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Vince, can you lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, members of the board recommend approval of the minutes of the 789th meeting held on 10/12/99 as circulated. Motion by Sierpinski, second by Prokowski. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. Recommend approval of the minutes of the 790th meeting held on 10/20/99 as circulated. Motion by O'Donnell, second by Sierpinski. Any questions?
Madam President, I will have to abstain from the vote because I was not present at that meeting.
Okay, very good. Ms. Liberowski, would you provide him with an abstention paper? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention? One abstention. Recommend approval of the minutes of the 700, whose microphone is that? Who's on their microphone? Is it you, Don Hill, as usual?
I'm sitting here very quiet.
It's usually you, Don.
Tonight?
It's the guy with the hearing aid. Okay, recommend approval of the minutes of the 791st meeting held on 11/9/99 as circulated.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by Sierpinski. Any questions? All-
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess it's the following one, it's the 11/9, but it's the work session. I don't have a number on it, so Christine, the work session is the,
We only number the,
okay, then, not for this one, I think.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed,
have to
nay.
abstain on this one,
Why?
because I wasn't here.
Okay, I just thought maybe it was
Did
you
you
weren't
miss me?
paying attention or
Did you miss
something.
me?
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. One abstention. Okay. Recommend approval of the minutes of the work session held 11/9/99 as circulated.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Christine, on this, there's no audience comments recorded. The subject matters were the Citizen Crime Commission, the Academy Program of Studies. I believe we had comments, particularly on the tip line. I don't know the other subjects. But there were no audience comments recorded, so we may want to note for it to be amended if we have the record for those.
I do have them on record, they must have been left out of these, I'll have it fixed.
Okay, and the presentation by John, it says Applethorn. Found out his last name is Apeldorn.
Could you say that again, please?
Apeldorn.
Thank you.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. There obviously needs to be an amendment to the work session minutes to include audience of citizens and the proper spelling of Mr. Appledorn's name. Who made the motion?
I did.
Mr. Mosey, would you amend your motion?
I amended to, yes,
As stated.
as stated.
Mr. O'Donnell, would you amend your second?
I amend
As
mine.
stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Abstain.
One abstention.
You got a lot of.
Ms.
people.
Liberowski, put both abstentions on the same sheet. He can date the sheet with two different dates. Okay, committee reports. Mr. Shaliga isn't here. Does support services have a backup report?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Later in tonight's meeting, you will hear recommendations to approve credit change orders for North Penn High School. Due to the efforts of Art Wood, Breslin Ridyard Federo Architects, and J.E. Byro Associates Engineers, we are happy to announce credits back to the district totaling $51,754.09. Support Services has begun the process of selection of architects and engineers for the remaining year one projects and upcoming two-year projects in the capital expenditure program. You will also see on tonight's agenda recommendations for 3 new security police officers as approved by the board last month. The Support Services administrators are continuing to work with the Safe Schools Task Force to begin to increase the safety and security of our facilities. The next meeting of the Support Services Committee will be on Tuesday, November 23rd at 6 p.m. in the ESC. End of report.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Allen?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
If it's possible, perhaps I should probably direct my question to Mr. Sowers. There was a considerable sum in this original project for contingency. Would it be possible by our next finance meeting for you to have a breakdown as to what we spent or what we have left in contingency, if anything at all? Please. Thank you. That's
Okay, any questions around?
I'm Bill.
Ms. Allen, Mr.
Yeah, I do. In the same vein,
I had-
would you let us know what all the change orders, if any, were for the
Right.
project?
Right.
Which will be part of where the contingency money went? Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. I understand that the safety committee presented a plan for surveillance cameras for the school.
Not to our committee, they did.
Was
not
it
to our
under
committee.
educational committee?
No,
Security cameras throughout?
We had a presentation.
I had that a part of an
equipment.
agenda.
We never had anything else, and that was at Support Services.
Okay. The one that had also the tip line introduction, I have a paper that
That was at
came from-
Educational Services.
Okay, it was educational services, and it said that Steve Cotran made a presentation to the committee regarding security cameras.
not
for
at
the-
education, he did.
No, that was he delivered information
For the high
to
school.
the Support Services Committee through Mr. Strobel and Mr.
Well, that's where my
Kochan.
question was going. It was there presented before, and it said that they would come back for future discussion at the next meeting. Is that still scheduled to be on the agenda?
Yes, for the November
I mean-
23rd meeting, you mean?
Yes.
At the Support Services.
I believe it is, yeah.
Should be.
Okay, so that's another security
John.
measure that is
On the
coming.
23rd.
And just another note, John, no other place to put this. I've noticed the last few times traveling from my house to here, and I come across the Line Street tracks, many times I'm waiting for the train to go by. I've noticed those trains have started rolling faster again. Have you heard anything about that? I mean, just because we haven't had an accident in a year or so, that they think they can pick up the speed again, and that's what's...
Probably.
I haven't, but I can check with some.
Would you check with them to see, because I've had to sit there, and, yeah, it does take a little longer when they've slowed down, when they slow down the pace, but I've noticed them coming through much faster, and it just occurred again tonight, so I'd like to have that checked out for us.
John, update on where you're at on the track project for 2000.
We're hopefully gonna select an architect very soon. We're having RFPs to find architects who are interested in doing the project.
Okay. Has your committee done any discussion on consulting with Art?
No.
Whether it be outright consultation or clerk of the works or something like that?
We can include that next week.
Why don't you just throw that in your agenda? Okay, any further questions of Mr. Allen?
John, unrelated to that, I've had some people ask me whether, when that work would take place, if it was happening, because there seems to be a major event that they're using the track for regularly leading up to, and I think it's a mid-May competition.
Well, we wouldn't.
No,
we
we
wouldn't
do
start
it
till
now.
summertime.
This would be summertime, absolutely. That's what they were looking to see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen. Educational Services, Mr. Shapinsky.
Thank you. The last meeting of the Educational Services Committee was held October 28, 1999 at 7 p.m. At that time, the Educational Services Committee was presented with a technology update report on the progress made with Phase 1 and Phase 2 by Mrs. Klein. We voted to move that presentation forward, and it is now scheduled for the December work session. Also at that meeting, we discussed an employee, student, parent purchase plan that was delivered to us from Compact, and we'll have further information and discussion at our next Educational Services meeting, which will be in December. At that meeting, we covered the graduation project report from Principal Cotter. Also, we discussed the accreditation for growth report from the North Penn High School, the academic, or the academy project, which is on tonight for under the superintendent's report, item 4B. Also, the program of study changes for the year 2000-2001, which Principal Cotter shared with the committee. All these items are on for action tonight, and I'm eager to answer questions.
Any questions?
The only question I have, Madam President, is one of the items that is the academies that's going to be on the agenda. I asked a question at Educational Services, and I also asked it at work session last week. Have there been any coordination with the Technical Career Center to make sure we weren't having redundancy?
We did that.
Well, I spoke with Dr. Irwin Monday night after our joint operating committee meeting. He said he has not been contacted by North Penn.
Well, so there's my understanding it was done before the report
There's a breakdown
was
somewhere
made.
then.
Okay, well.
And
I'll
I
check on
just
it.
hope that we're not doing this because there's a stigma that people don't want to send their children over to the Technical Career Center because they do a fine job and they have a very good engineering program over there. And I, for one, am really concerned that we're having duplication here.
Well, I'll personally talk to Dr. Irwin because
I
I
wish
know
some-
that there was discussion some time
Yes.
ago with him regarding the whole concept.
Because I flat out
seems to
asked
be
him
in
the
that.
other night, I said, you know, have you been contacted or you have any idea about what's going on with this new academy, this engineering program? And he said, no one's contacted me from North Penn.
Don, would you take care of that first thing tomorrow morning and send us a memorandum?
And also, we did note, they do have about an 80% second
Students that go
higher
off to college,
education.
yes, out of that program.
Student rate, and the other issue that I think we need to take.
80%.
We got 80% of the kids that come out of their engineering program go on to higher education.
And the other part of it that has to be noted, that on the academic side of it, our students that are going there for the engineering program, for the most part, are taking their academics out of the full course scheduling at the high school.
Right.
If they want to take a 5.0 English and or 6.0 science, there's no limitations on their academic criteria, simply because of their Technical Career Center. I know that was one of the high points, was to reach to the higher 5.0 students, but
Right.
there's no limitations as
Right.
far as the academic levels for those students that are participating in the engineering program. So as we move forward, let's take that into consideration, and particularly since we invested, because of, according to our attendance ratio at that Technical Career Center, and now we're finding that we're pulling students out of the Technical
Right.
Career Center, but there's no recovery of our portion
Right.
for the expansion of that building, because we handled the debt.
We pay per student, correct?
But the borrowing wasn't through their budget.
No,
It was
48.
through ours. If we had
Right.
borrowed through their
Right.
budget, in other words, if they'd taken it out and we paid
Well,
them,
it's a sunk
then the debt
cost. It's a
service would have
fixed
been.
cost that we pay
Our
because we
percentage of the
borrowed,
debt
right.
service would
We
have gone
funded that.
down, but because it was paid directly through us, and this doesn't lower our debt service,
Okay, good.
we're ending up,
Okay, let's bring this full
Losing that
circle. This was
ratio.
about the course. Dr. Vedem will call first thing tomorrow and provide us with memorandum on that discussion.
Please.
Okay. Any other questions to Mr. Shabinsky? Thank you. Finance, Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes, the finance meeting will be on this, on November 30th, Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
Correction,
What?
6:30.
6:30, excuse me.
What?
6:30.
Wait, what?
6:30.
The finance meeting will be on November 30th, Tuesday at 6:30. Some of the things we're going to be talking about on that night is we've had to involve the solicitor to get in touch with the county to speed up taxes. Mr. Sowers and Donna found out that the county is significantly behind in getting a lot of our tax payments. We'll be discussing that. We'll be discussing the payroll database human resource module, and now hopefully Dawn is working on the budget transfers to make the budget the actual amounts, and then any variances will go down to the budgetary reserve. That should come forward for approval the following month. We'll be talking about the budget timeline specifically now, how we intend to go forward, and some recommendations hopefully will come from the Finance Committee on what direction to provide the administration, and hopefully that'll come before the full board also, once the Finance Committee discusses that. And then we're also going to have a presentation by Mr. Sowers on our healthcare in the consortium and trying to save us some money. Hopefully we'll get a progress report on that one. That's it.
Okay, any questions of Mr. O'Donnell?
Just one of Mr. Sowers, if I may. How are you making out with my report concerning where we are with ERIP?
You will have a document in front of you on November 30th.
Thank you. 30th? That's
Uh,
27th is our meeting, isn't it?
30th.
30th, 6:30.
Oh, you change it to the,
Tuesday the 30th.
sorry, wait a minute. I beg your pardon. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions of Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about healthcare changes, are you working through an employee committee, or is this just basically research where you guys?
This is primarily research information that Jim has been talking with several hospital directors and forming a possible consortium with other school districts and a handful of hospitals to see how it can go forward. He's also been working very closely with Mr. Jordan on this.
Yeah, before you get too far, we gotta make sure that you deal with our union and other representatives from other fields, because obviously it's a sensitive issue for most employees, and any particular changes or even any direction should be discussed with everybody, so that it's a unified effort.
Oh, I think that's.
One of the things that Jim is doing right now is sending out confirmation letters on all the benefits, which is very good. Also, that's come from our new database system between me, John, and Jim. And you'll also see that too, so they can verify, so they know exactly what's in the budget.
Is that the same model you guys were going to use for the budget projections for next year?
This is the exact same one.
So these are part of the tax study for, the table E benefits work.
All righty, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Personnel, there will be a motion tonight to direct the solicitor to begin candidate search for the Human Resources Department. Other than that, there's no other personnel business to report. Are there any questions?
Will we be considering other options outside of the traditional employee relationship?
Yes,
We-
absolutely.
We'll receive an update, so we can have further discussion on how that will proceed.
Certainly.
Stay involved, so we don't
Certainly.
repeat past.
Excuse me, Don.
That would be great.
We're going to direct the solicitor?
Yes.
Okay.
That, to a certain point, I assume,
Yeah. So we say
Conduct a
yes.
candidate search. That's it, just
for
a
the
search.
interview, sort of as to what you're interested in taking in the
Correct.
interview.
Correct.
Good idea.
We get a copy
All right.
of that.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, folks. Community Relations Policy, Intergovernmental Affairs, Don Hill.
Yes, the committee had a meeting on October 27th, where a number of things were discussed. Amongst those were a couple of policies which are under review by our solicitor. I would ask our solicitor to follow up on that. Would you see, we need those back before the 30th for our next committee meeting. We need the comments back from your office on those. There's two policies that you should have. If you had any questions, Christina, she's the one that, you forwarded them to, didn't you, right?
Okay.
Don, I didn't receive the fund balance policy. I didn't get a copy of that. The only policy that was attached to
That has
my
not
minutes.
gone forward.
But it's at the solicitor?
That has not gone forward, and it has not gone to the solicitor.
Oh, that's not. the-
Don Hill was supposed to ask Mr. Sauer to do a 4 or 5 year projection to see how the
Okay.
balance would come forward.
Oh.
And that's in process right now before it goes any further. Then that'll come back to policy. Then it'll probably go to the solicitor, probably January.
Okay, I thought you presented the fund balance policy at the policy meeting,
I did,
but yet there are no copies for anyone to have?
We didn't send it forward.
because it's still being talked about.
Hasn't even been reduced to paper yet. Is that what you're saying? It's
No,
part
it
of
said it is
discussion?
in paper, right?
Pardon?
There is a draft. She can have a copy of that draft. It's part of that meeting, I think, was there.
We got that in our
But it's still,
No, I didn't.
I think you got it in your packets, I
I did.
think.
No,
I
no.
Didn't you?
Christine.
I got it at the meeting, but I didn't get a copy of my packet.
I was not at the meeting, and I was not given that piece of paper, so I didn't even know that existed.
All right.
Ms. Liberowski, why don't you
I
track
got
that
it.
that
It's a working
that
document in any
down? It's a
case.
working document. It is not a bona fide policy. It's
That's
just
just a working document.
policy, speech, and writing, and just get
Well, then,
it off
Don,
to
what
Vicki.
two policies are with the solicitor that you're talking about? I thought it was the fund balance and the pregnancy counseling policy.
Well, the one policy was the one related to pregnancies and how they're handled within the school system. And the other one, I can't believe the other
It
one.
it was fund balance, but the possibility to have, we didn't forward one to him, but how should we proceed? It was more that.
Did we ask for copies of other existing policies from the PSBA?
Well, what should Mr. Taylor be looking for as far as the two policies? that you're
The other
asking?
policy, wasn't that behavior management?
No, that's.
Special
No, it was
education?
do with,
Next one.
was do some groundwork on the, I don't,
I
Christine
think it
has
was
the
just the
information.
one policy.
Maybe it's
I think it was just the
only-
pregnancy
just the one
policy.
Wait a minute,
I
wait a minute,
was
not to
wrong.
confuse the issue, but we also, from the Safe Schools Task Force, forwarded a list of policy review for Mr. Taylor. I mean, it concerned a huge list of things that we gave him to research. Now, some of that stuff might come back at your meeting by then, because it should be done pretty soon.
Actually, those policies were mailed to you today.
Okay.
Those
Then
revised
We talked about
policies.
too at the next meeting, which is November 30th.
That's a definite thing.
November 30th.
Is our
Okay.
meeting at 6 o'clock, Don?
6 o'clock,
And then there's finance at 6:30?
that's right. We don't think this will be very long.
Well, if they just sent us the whole.
We
list
could
of
run
stuff.
longer, but we made the finance start at 6:30,
Three,
because we could be done by 6:30, might run longer, they'll follow.
Okay. Did you say the solicitor was coming for your meeting, Frank, to begin with, or not?
No?
Well, okay, if we're gonna be discussing a policy that deals into so many sensitive areas as the counseling policy could, and I think we would have to have a solicitor unless we've got some really clear articulation
We'll see what
of what
information
our
we get back.
confines are. So I
Okay.
think it's worth pursuing, but it is a touchy area that you have to watch how the language is read.
Okay, any other questions of Don
Well,
Hill?
The other thing, though, that main part we gotta get to here.
Right.
The other thing that we covered at that meeting was a discussion on our extended care, school care program. Just for some background, a year ago, in January, I should say, a year ago, January, when the contract came up for renewal with the base program, the board had numerous discussions with the contractor, and the outcome of those discussions were that we would proceed with the contract for this year, the 99-2000 year, with the base contractor, and that the board had indicated they were interested in moving ahead and establishing a daycare program under the auspices of the North Penn School District. With that direction, the committee formed an extended school care committee, which I asked Dr. Betty Robinson to handle, with numerous committee members, to develop a plan and a program and some numbers as to see what is needed and how we could do it and what would need to be doing and all those type of things. This committee has worked very hard and had to cover a lot of material and a lot of extended things over this period of time. You have mailed to you in the past week is the report from the committee, Extended School Care Committee report on where they are and at the present time in this report. There's copies of this, of course, for everybody in the audience that wants them. This is not the final answer. This is the first comprehensive report that brings everything together as to where the committee has worked and what the committee has brought together at this point. And it leads to two questions that has to be resolved. One question is, do we have this committee continue its work along the path that they've already started? And because remember that we have to tell our contractor, the base people, in January that we are either going to extend their contract or ask them to keep on, or tell them that we're going to take other action. So that has to be done, that decision has to be made in December, so we can tell them what has to happen in January. The other thing that has to happen, if the board is so inclined to move along as they early indicated that they were, to take this program under our own auspices, then one of the things that we need to have immediately and proceed with hiring is the, what's the correct title for the person?
Program coordinator.
Program coordinator. We need a program coordinator to be hired, so that person can be part of this program as we finally develop it, so we can have it in place before the September 2000, when this program is intended to be programmed. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Betty Robinson to just answer a few questions that you may have, or to give us a little more background. She's not going to read the report to you because you already have the report, so you know what's in that. But to answer any questions you have concern, the main thing that I want to come out of this thing tonight, and I'm not going to ask for any vote or any time at this time because we haven't had audience of citizens yet, and then we should ask for that input before we get to that. But a couple things to keep in mind. The base program as it existed and exists in the North Penn School District is doing a program which seems to be well received and being well done, and the program seems to be working very well. It's not the intention of this program that we're planning to handle by the North Penn School District to change the quality of that program. We hope we can build upon that program and continue to extend that work that's been established and to move on with that. And probably many of those people that are working in that program now would ask to work on the new program, which is part of this report, saying that they would be, if they wanted to work for us, their applications would be duly neutered along with anyone else that would like to be part of the program. So with those words, Dr. Robinson, why don't you fill us in?
Thank you, Mr. Hill. If the board will indulge some committee members and myself to take a few minutes to
Could you get the mic a little closer, I think, to hear you a little bit?
Stop. If the board will indulge the committee, some committee members and myself, we'd just like to take about 10 minutes to share with you the work that we've done to this point. I do want to underscore what Don Hill has said about the current program. Our committee was not charged with looking at the possibility of retaining that program. We were charged with the task of deciding whether or not the North Penn School District could, as Don said, take over the program and provide the same high-quality service, the same high-quality care to students. And I want to say up front that that's what the committee focused on. Our intent is to have a program that would be as highly received or better received by the parents. So with that in mind, I'd just like to say that I have some committee members here who will speak to some points very quickly. Kim Russell, Glenn Ann Rory, Dottie Irvin, Kathy Kirstein, John Strobel, and Jim Sowers. So if you'll give me a minute to go to the overhead.
We have an overhead?
Oh, it's over there.
I was going to dazzle you with my PowerPoint skills, but Don said I only had 10 minutes, and it takes longer than that for me to set it up. We'll go with the conventional way.
Next time is Debbie.
Next show off. I didn't want to show off. Well, that shows you my skills with it.
All right.
The overhead. See, when you lose the classroom, you lose your skills. Now we got it,
Great job.
As Don said, this is the first comprehensive report of the committee. And what we would like to do tonight, not read the whole report to you, but simply narrow it to 5 essential questions. Why consider a change? What are the benefits? How will the program be organized? What are the staffing implications? And what's the impact on support services? So I'm going to ask Kathy and, Glenn and Kim to speak to the first point about programming. I'm skipping as you see the first 2 questions. You know why the change. So we need to speak to what the program would look like.
Good evening. My name is Kim Russell, and I'm a member of the Programming Subcommittee. And in keeping with what Mr. Hill said earlier and Ms. Robinson, the focus of the programming subcommittee has been to take into account that the parents whose children are enrolled in the program are generally quite happy with the type of program that's being run. And so the intent of the programming subcommittee is to keep the same general type of program that is there. The flexibility that it offers to the children for both organized activities and individual activities, the community outreach programs, the parent events, the seasonal events, things like that. And what we're hoping to do, in addition to maintaining that type of program, is to improve upon it and enhance it. And there are several ways that we intend to do that. Number one, with food services, to offer a full hot breakfast in the morning in addition to the afternoon snacks, which is different than the current program. Coordinating with the facility subcommittee to possibly expand the usage of the facilities to include maybe some library usage or technology labs as the space permits and enrollment permits. And most importantly, most likely, is coordination with the Township Parks and Recs Department to offer extended services to the students that are enrolled, special programs that are currently available that could be purchased for an additional price that would be supervised by Township Park and Recs. And Glenn and Rory is going to talk to you for a couple of minutes about what we would expect to do.
The hat I'm wearing today is as Director of Parks and Recreation for Upper Gwinnett Township. My name is Glenn Ann Rory. If North Penn were to administer the program, it would provide a unique opportunity for the Township Park and Recreation Department to enter into a partnership with the school district. This partnership would enable the Park and Recreation departments to offer after-school recreational opportunities to youth who have previously been unable to partake of these opportunities because of their need for after-school care. And in your packet, there's a page that speaks directly to this topic. It's the North Penn Area After-School Community Recreation Partners. What we would be able to do as recreation professionals is bring into the school, based on the school interest and need, dictated by individual schools, different opportunities that the children are currently, in many instances, partaking of once the parents get home at night. Whether that is a science club or a dance class or a computer class or any of the myriad of activities that we are running our children to in the evening. This would enable the parents to use the after-school services to A, keep their child safe, happy during the working hours, and B, free up more quality evening time with their children, because some of the things they're running to at night the children would be able to partake of during their school day. That is our basic goal. It is only to enhance the opportunities currently available to our children. Some of our children miss these opportunities because of their need for after-school care, and I think it is a wonderful chance for a unique partnership between the school district and the various township park and rec departments.
Kathy Kirstein will speak for a minute on staffing implications.
I'm Kathy Kirstein. For the staffing implications for recruitment, it is discussed under staff and recruitment and hiring and retention. Recruitment is under Part B. The hiring was based on two criteria. That was the regulations for the Department of Public Welfare and also criteria that any employee of the North Penn School District would have to meet. As far as the hiring goes, hiring would be done by the Department of Human Resources. The retention portion of the staffing is discussed under staffing, under summary, and gives some reasons that retention would be to the benefit of the employee. Under the hiring practices, also The job description and degree requirements of the employees are listed, and we base those on the Department of Public Welfare and what the North Penn School District requires of employees. Also under possible things that the program itself would expect of the employees, such as being able to have homework accomplished. Thank you.
One of the other essential questions that we ask goes to the issue of the impact on support services. So Dottie Irvin will speak for a minute on food services, John Strobel on facilities, and Jim Sowers on finances.
Hi, I'm Dottie Irvin, the Food Service Coordinator for the North Penn School District. Betty had asked me to be on this committee and research some of the possibilities, some of the things that food service could do for this program. We definitely could have a federally and state-funded breakfast program along with a snack program. There would be subsidy for each. That, of course, would defray the cost of the people working in the kitchens, would almost be a wash. You know, we still face the hiring of these people and making sure these people can work within the limits of hourly instead of 5 hours and benefits. You know, hopefully we can work that out, and I think we can. But we would definitely get the subsidies. We have the equipment. There would be no problem there. Our people would be in early enough to take care of these kids when they're eating. So that's about it. We would definitely be subsidized, and that would defray most of the costs food service would have. Thanks for your time.
As far as additional support services, there would be pretty minimal impact on facilities because our facilities are approved already by the state Department of Education. No changes that we're aware of will have to be made in our facilities. Our custodians are already providing services for the base program, so that nothing would change there. And it looked like we would have to develop an annual fire safety plan as the base program had to develop for their programming. So other than food service changes, support services is pretty much unaffected by whatever change we may make to this program.
Good evening. On behalf of the business office, we prepared financials for this endeavor, and we have pro forma financials in year one of the base program run by the school district. We tentatively have 958 customers in the program and estimated revenues of approximately $1.6 million. In the salaries and wages category, we have detailed this with the clinical requirements from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So you have the exact staffing ratios that are required for the number of customers. You have 10 professionals or 10 staff members for 100 children, as an example, in Bridle Path Elementary School. You have a full-time coordinator, secretary, group supervisor, professional instructors, and instructional assistants. The fringe benefits are exactly determined with your existing fringe benefit offerings in the school system and existing premiums, etc. So when I normally do these types of things, I like to be very conservative on revenues and as well as expenditures. So I would suggest the revenues are understated with what we would have in actual operating results, and the expenditures are overstated. Easy example of that would be the startup supply costs for each facility. I think some of our principals would certainly suggest that that is not the dollar amount that would be required. Just as an FYI, this would be approximately a 7% increase in existing personnel with the number of staff people we pay every 2 weeks and the number of bills or transactions that occur on a monthly basis. So from a number crunching standpoint or an overhead requirement, I think the business office and the personnel office certainly have the talent to perform the tasks at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. almost done. So, in looking at the essential questions that were asked, you may say, what are the benefits of the North Penn School District taking over this program? And we've categorized those benefits into the area or areas of the benefits to a large group of people, to parents, students, to the district, and to the community. We would suggest that these are not the only benefits, but just for the purposes of summarizing this report, we see the benefits to the parents as having a continued quality program, just as they have now, at an affordable price. For the students, we see a program that has engaging, age-appropriate activities that strengthen problem-solving and critical thinking skills, and expanded after-school recreational opportunities tailored to the individual schools, their interests and their needs. To the district, it's the ability to make changes to programs as we need to do that. Because if it's the program that we are operating, we're the ones who can make the changes. So on an as-needed basis, we can make those changes. And the partnership with the township, Parks and Recreation, we feel, and you've heard the word unique a lot, but we really feel that that's a strength that we could bring to this program. Particularly for parents who do like their children to participate in other kinds of activities and lessening the need to run after work to another facility to have the child engaged in something like science or karate or any of those things. And to the community, we see the benefits being that the program is self-sustaining, and that also the program, that the money that are generated from this program would come back to the school district and could be targeted for initiatives that the board might suggest are needed. And obviously that would result in tax savings because it wouldn't have to be a part of the general fund. You have the recommendations on the report, and the committee members who are here, thank you for indulging us with the time to share with you what we have done. I would like to publicly thank the committee for working we did work under a great deal of time constraints because we had to do this rather quickly. So I would like to publicly thank the committee, and if you have questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll have questions from the members of the board first, and then after that, and it's all board questions have been answered of the committee and of Don Hill and of Betty Robinson, then it becomes an audience of citizens. I saw some of you raise your hands during the presentation, and maybe you haven't been to these meetings before, but before any decisions are made or votes are cast, we're required by law to provide an opportunity to ask questions, to remonstrate before a decision.
Before we start the questioning process amongst the board, I want to reiterate the purpose that we're here tonight for. Rob's report. This is your first cut at the committee's work, which they've done long and hard with, and I want to again say the committee I'm very appreciative of the work they did to get this all pulled together in such a fine way in the time they've had to do it. But the direction that I need from the board, we need from the board for this committee, do you want the committee to continue this work and to proceed? And do we plan to direct our contractor in January that we're going to continue on this program? We've got to make that decision. Are we going to move ahead or we're not going to move ahead? A lot of details got to be worked out. I mean, if we say go ahead, this is the the top surface. You got all the detail and all the work that has to go underneath this to support this program. So there's a lot of effort that has to be done, and that has got to be started. So we need the board's direction. So what I'm looking for tonight is direction to continue on the program that we're on, and so we can notify the contractor that we're proceeding on this basis. And number two is, if we're going to consider on this basis, we've got to proceed with having the program coordinator, who's going to be the key person to help pull this together under Betty Robinson's office to make this operate. So we need to know either tonight or in December at the latest. those two answers question. So with that, I'll turn you over to ask questions with Betty or myself.
Okay, board questions to the left, Mr. Moser.
Thank you. I really wish you'd have brought this at a work session because, you're going to have an awful lot of discussion on this, at an action.
Time frame, the report wasn't available for the work session. They got it out for this time,
There's just gonna be an
for the
awful
first
lot.
cut. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions and answers.
All right.
But I think we have enough information here to decide we want to go forward or not.
There's an awful lot of information. First question I have is, I see on page 1 where you met with Central Bucks School District and various people. Was any consideration given to Nancy Bobkowski from Hatboro Horsham? Because I know, and I served on the initial committee, we spoke with her, and I thought she had an awful lot of good input. And I'd just like to know why perhaps she was kept out of the mix.
She was not.
Oh,
I did
okay.
contact her office, but at that time, she was not in a position to accept our invitation to come to Hatboro Horsham.
So she declined to speak
Yes.
with us? Okay, on the second page,
One other point that I do think is very valid, Central Bucks is a district that is much closer in size to North Penn than is Hatboro Horsham.
well, that's
So,
fine, but
that
all
was
I
the
know
other-
is that we met with her lady, with that lady, when Mr. Schilling chaired our committee.
Correct.
And I thought she had an awful lot of good ideas and insight, and I just think that to undertake something this magnitude, which I'm in favor of, but I just think it's good to have just more than one, one view, that's all.
We did contact her office.
Okay. On the second thing, concerning staffing, the ratio of 1 to 10, is this what the current provider has right now, one instructor per 10 students? Or where did this come from?
That assumes kindergarten customers at each facility.
I know, but what I'm saying, what's the current staffing ratio right now?
1 to 12.
I
In
believe
certain-
it might be 1 to 12.
What is it?
12?
Yeah, but what is regulation? I mean,
The
is it
state
one- is
regulation,
1
when
to
you have
10?
kindergartners, is 1 to 10.
Okay, beyond kindergarten.
It varies up through, I believe it's 3rd grade, it's 1 to 10, and intermediate, it's 1 to 12. But if
Okay.
you have mixed categories, then you must go with the lower
The
number.
lower number, and we do have mixed categories. The staffing recommendations, did that come from the state, did that come Central Bucks, or did that come from just the committee's recommendation? Because I look and I see that we're going to hire, I can see the program coordinator and a group supervisor. I don't remember, Jim, and maybe you can help me, during Mrs. Bukowski's presentation about this instructional assistant. I don't remember that being part of her presentation. I remember the coordinator and the secretary and a group supervisor and a professional instructor, but have we added another layer here?
No, I think we did the staffing 50% professional staff, 50% non-professional, which is in the regulations.
Okay, all right. Okay. And then getting to one last question, getting to the financials, you said you were very conservative. I noticed for York Avenue, you're showing a loss the first year.
Correct.
Why is that?
30 customers.
Oh, I see. So we're going to actually be paying more in salaries than we have people, or have students.
You've got a critical mass there, and in essence, you would have the larger facilities
Okay.
having economies of
And
scale.
you're showing out of $1.6 million that you're showing a return of about $247,000 to the district. Roughly over $1 million will be going for expenses.
Correct. $1,400,000. Salaries, fringe benefits, and startup costs.
But you say you're being conservative.
Correct.
Okay. Because I remember for Mrs. Perkowski's presentation, there was Mrs. Bobkowski, I'm sorry, Bobkowski. I thought the numbers were a little different.
We did not reflect any grant revenues, as one example.
Okay, all
Or
right.
any increase in customers.
Right. I think there were some other things that she said we could explore where there would be additional funds from the state.
We did explain. This is strictly on paying customers.
Oh,
That's
this
it.
is not taking grants or anything?
Nothing.
Of course, obviously, we would apply for them.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you. Good job, incidentally. A lot of work and a lot of detail here, and put it together in such a short period of time. I commend all of you and the committee.
Mrs. Kraski?
Yes, thank you. The one meeting I got to, they do work hard. They do get into the details, and I think it's really good. I'm very impressed. I think we can do it. I think it'll be easy, relatively. But then I have kids and cups, and kids are easy. My question now, Mr. Sowers, year 2, did you do anything beyond year 1?
No,
Is
year,
it relatively the same? You mentioned startup costs in year 1. Will you have those same costs in year 2? Sometimes startup is...
no, you'd have lower costs,
Right.
and you'd have more customers, in my experience, from a marketing standpoint.
I agree. Did you do anything beyond year 1?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee. It was a good report, and I went through it a couple times over the weekend. I think you all did a very good job. Thanks. Jim, is it possible for the next Finance Committee meeting to bring forward a pro forma that, number 1, would lower the ratio for each school, lower the cost per child by $45, what would it cost to add staffing for the use of the computer room? That was one of the notes in there. Does the pro forma include in-service days? If not, if you could include them in there. And I'd like to specifically know what consideration is going to be given to current employees, because the comment made that the employees will be hired by the Human Resources Department. You know, when you come out of the military, you get preferential treatment. When you take a test any place, they would give you 10 extra points when you take a test. I'd like something to be done or considered somewhere. I believe if it's legal, we can do this, to give consideration to the current employees. Because as I said on the first day of this year, I got a phone call. Frank, your daughter's not here. Oh, okay. Now, who else would know that unless they were current employees? My daughter's seen the same teacher, counselor for the past 3 years now. She knew that my daughter was there. And I'd like the committee to consider, or in this report, to give consideration to the current employees, preferential treatment, or whatever it is. And also look at what they're currently making and to improve on that. I want this to be a real benefit to the parents. You know, I don't care about our bottom line. I'd like, if we could, Jim, if you could forecast that down to 0. You know, what can we do for the parents?
Yeah.
If you could do...
Frank, let me just interject one thing. What you're asking for, I think, is good information, but I don't think we want Jim by the next meeting to pull all that data together. I think that the committee starts working. I think there's the things that'll come out of the committee's work that'll feed into Jim to do these things, to take these different options as we move forward. I don't think it's appropriate to jump the committee's work or jump ahead here. That's all I'm saying.
I'd like to say it. How's this then, Jim? If you give me your spreadsheet, I'll do the work myself then. I hate it to be that way, but I want to see what the bottom line would be if we increase the ratio, if we lower the numbers. I'd like to see what it is, and I'll make the presentation then.
Well, it'll come. I just didn't know if we'd do it.
Point of clarification, when you, to increase the ratio,
He said
you're
it both
talking more
ways.
adults,
Yeah.
More teachers.
more teachers?
Above 1 to 10? Why?
More
Less
than
than
1 to 10?
Above state
State
revenue.
only says 10. Why do you want to?
And
All right,
that's-
all right, folks, one at a time. Mr. O'Donnell, explain exactly what you mean.
How's it? Now, I'm just asking if I could see this. I want to see what the numbers are going to be, that's all.
I can tell you, Frank, that Jim
I don't want
McGrath-
to really have a conversation with you.
No,
I'm just
but he
asking for
does know
additional
some numbers.
information.
He
If
does
that can be
know some-
presented to me. Thank you.
He does know some numbers in that he first ran these numbers at $1.65. Currently, the rate is $1.92 an hour under the base program. And that would be less than a $30 reduction per month at $1.65 from where we are today. These numbers are representing approximately $1.85 an hour. To take that down $45 a month, we will be beneath the revenues that we are now taking in from Nancy Scholl from her revenues
Right.
on the buildings.
Okay.
In other words, the taxpayers would be shifted into actually losing
Right.
from the changeover to a district-run program. if you go to drop it, and that's without touching the staff.
Okay, but I think the questions that Mr. O'Donnell has are specific to Mr. Sowers, and I think you take that up with Jim.
Yeah, all
The
right.
questions and
Give me
concerns
one.
you have are not necessarily shared by everybody. So Jim, that's between you and Mr. O'Donnell in terms of that fact finding. Any other questions, Mr. O'Donnell?
That's all, thank you.
Mr. Shapinsky?
Jim, the performer you put together for year one, is that based on existing enrollments?
Yes.
I heard tonight Upper Gwinnett talk about partnerships that they offer, and I know Upper Gwinnett is renowned for their programs. Have you had conversations already with other townships about the same thing? Because we have schools in every township.
Glenn, would you like to speak to that?
Barbara Santoro.
Yeah, Barbara's not here.
We have spoken with other townships in the North Penn area, Talmenson, Barbara Santoro, Montgomery Mill with Andrew Cox,
Donna.
and
She should be on record.
the two other Park and Rec directors are talking with their Board of Supervisors, Board of Commissioners throughout this process because they would like to become involved. However, it is something that needs to be dictated down to them that is okay for them to pursue it. The three of us are on board with this and ready to go with this. We can also, if the other Park and Rec directors are unable for some reason to participate in this project and this partnership, we are able to go into, for instance, North Wales does not have a Park and Rec department or a Park and Rec director, but being that North Wales is surrounded by Upper Gwinnett, I would be willing to work with their site director.
Okay. Well, that was my question, because I wanted to know how far you had gone to other townships to see what they offered.
And it should be noted, Barbara Santoro is also a member of the committee.
Yeah, I understand. My other question, I guess, I'm going to direct this to Dr. Robinson. I'm looking at the building usage and square footage and the DPW records. And my question, I guess, I don't know if you really can answer this, but my question is, I'm looking at the enrollment based on square footage. I'm looking at the rooms that are available, and I'm looking at current enrollment, and I'm looking at a waiting list. And I'm looking at a waiting list in schools where we have more than enough capacity in these schools to take these people in. Now, has your committee had discussion over this issue about why we have a waiting list in schools where we have capacity?
It's not our program.
I mean, is that a business decision being made by the enrichment workshop? That they don't feel it's appropriate to hire somebody to take these extra people in because it might not be profit-making for them?
Because we discussed it, we looked at it when we saw the North Wales numbers, I mean, 40
Is
students
the
in the
current
waiting
base
list.
provider being offered these same spaces?
That, they have this, she has the space right within what are designated areas. Where you see that number, that's the area that she's using, yet there was an 11-student waiting list that we can't explain it, we can't do anything about it, it's not our program.
Have you had those discussions?
Have you had this discussion?
Internally.
We have within the committee, yes.
All right.
And that's something we would like to be able to address.
Well, I see in your proposal, because I too took some time to review it, and it's clear that you're trying to eliminate that in your proposal. I'd like to see the performer too, under what Frank said, with a couple of different scenarios the same way. The revenue part of it is pretty conservative, because you're not expecting, first, you didn't include any rate increases. You're using existing enrollment and existing cost. And the other issue, I don't know about the ratio changes, because everybody operates under the same state codes. But the cost factors, I'd like to see some changes, see what type of different things we can have as a proposal. Because besides moving forward with this idea, we have yet to set those parameters as a board. Now, I can understand what you have to do this performance and take your best shot at what you believe it's going to be. But looking at some of the numbers and some of the other things that we've had in the past, your stuff is extremely conservative. I mean, that's clear, without a doubt.
It is.
That's all I really have to say.
Okay, I'll go last. Mr. Allen?
On your considerations with the partnerships with the communities, was your discussion of having the programs come into the schools, or the children go out to community centers?
The program would come to the school.
As far as financing goes, and keeping track of the finances, will this be set up as an independent fund?
Yes.
Yes,
To stand alone?
Yes.
as an enterprise fund.
Okay. As far as your thinking about the administration of this in the individual buildings, will there be any need for principals or current teachers to have to get involved with this?
We see the principal's role as being very minimal. There will be a group supervisor on site. There will be a program coordinator who will visit all of the sites. And we don't see the principal having to be any more involved than he or she is now.
Thank you. I'm done.
Sure.
I have any questions. I worked with this group and we had quite a few meetings. And I've got to tell you, we started with the members of this community that had come in basically with the intentions of defending the current system. And I saw as we progressed, everyone become more and more excited about what we were moving towards and what we were developing here. And I think that the very fact that a group with the majority of the community members with children inside the program or parents who expected to place their children into the program in the upcoming year was able to be pulled together with, I think, with a very kind spirit and common ground amongst everyone. Frank, I don't mean to say this while he's out of the room, but as he brought forward these other issues, we were looking to see that we had a balance in the proposal that did appeal to all members of the community. Those members of the community who have felt that we've been subsidizing a program versus the parents and what their expectations would be for a quality program. This is offering more than what the existing program is today. You've heard that there'll be food, a full breakfast provided at a lower hourly rate than the current system provides. And I would encourage the board to consider that while these are conservative estimates, we are dealing with a significant amount of staff, and if our objective is to also ensure that we have recovery for the general use of the buildings, because there's no charge-offs within the numbers that you see today for those items that we did charge Nancy Shaw for. That $25 per building or $18 per building rate isn't listed as an expense here. That's where your bottom line revenue balance is going to compensate for that, and also at the same time go back to the students, whether it's in playground equipment or technology programming. And if we go and we drop this down to what we think is the bare minimum, we're going to have to deal with the increases that come naturally with your staff pricing. I think this proposal, as it may be conservative, gives us the best advantage of coming out with a good bottom line at the end of the year, and also being prepared to go into the next year without having to confront the community with the parents with any spiking, and then leave room for if the parents come forward and are looking for some additional benefits. It's a quality program, it is a reasonable price, and I believe that the committee came together to put together a very nice package. I commend all of them.
I have one more question. I'm going to take another one. I know how to deal with kids. When the esteemed Mr. Hill mentioned that this would be under your department, you had a look on your face. That look. Is that a surprise to you?
Not totally, but.
Okay. That's all.
Surprise, surprise.
You can do it.
The esteemed.
I thought maybe you were going to choose Christine.
Thank you, Ben.
She did ask me about it.
Yeah. Sort your friends out, Christine.
Then she ran.
I just have two comments. I just want all of you to understand something that I said to you before, and I'm going to say it again tonight, and every time I'm going to be required to say it. I'm not with you folks philosophically. I'm just not. And some of you know that. I think all of you know that. I'm just not there. I think it's all we can do to provide a primary and secondary education K through 12 full-time. I think that is our... Believe, folks, that's very kind, but this is very hard for me because I see incredible benefits in what the board is about to do. I believe you're in a wonderful program, but I don't believe it's the end-all. And I believe there are better prices for you, and I believe there are greater savings for the community, and I know there's a lot of pluses. Philosophically, I'm just not there. In a much, much younger life, prior to the program you're in now, I was the director for 5 years of the largest daycare center in Montgomery County. And it's not an easy task, it's not an easy job. It's difficult work, and with the children being younger, it's that much more intense. And I respect everybody that's worked on the committee and all the efforts around and the opinions of my good friends and colleagues, but I'm just philosophically not there. I just don't want to see North Penn in the daycare business. I just rather we not do that. So I'm not a foot dragger. I'm listening, I'm participating, but I just need you guys to know every chance it needs to be known that I'm not with you. Aside from where I'm at philosophically, if the train's going this way, I don't want to get hit by it. So 3 things that I would look for, like Mr. O'Donnell and Mr. Shapinsky already stated, I definitely believe that there should be a reduced cost to the parents. If you're looking at $250,000 profit on a straight line scenario as you have laid out here, Mr. Sowers, then I'm not necessarily interested in North Penn keeping all $250,000. A reduced cost to the parents immediately. Increase wages to current staff. There should be a buying incentive of those good people, and there should be a stipulation that net proceeds, after all said and done, doesn't go above the elementary level. I would hate to see the proceeds from this effort, if that's where you're going, buying things at the junior high or the senior high. No. It either stays local in those specific schools that have created that profit, or it stays at the elementary level, that the only initiatives, the only benefits that are funded are elementary only. Because that's where the wear and tear on the buildings are. So that's where I'm at. And where this goes tonight, I wish you all luck, but I'm getting off.
Before you open to the public, I just want to reiterate 2 things. I like your analogy about the train.
Yeah,
Because-
you'd love to run me over.
Well, no, the reason is. Don't confuse the issue. Don't confuse the issues. Yeah. When a year ago, when we were talking about renewing the base contract, I said if it's not broke, don't fix it, and was most along that, and the train ran over me and I got on the train. So that's where we're going down this path. But so under other business tonight, from what I hear from the board, I'm going to ask for a motion that we proceed with the process of hiring a program coordinator. It's going to take us a while to find somebody to go through the resumes and get that done, but I want that process to start. So under other business, I'm going to ask for a motion in that area. That's the end of my comments.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now is your time. You've heard comments, questions. You've probably picked up a lot of intent from the board. You certainly have a direct intent of what Mr. Hill plans on doing tonight. So at this time, if you could come forward, state your name and address, we'll listen to each and every one of you that wish to come forward. Madam, are you first? No? Okay.
Holding the wall up.
Was it sitting room only back there? Anybody wish to come forward and make comment? Okay.
Want anything, not just this.
Ellen Strauss from Montgomery Township. And I do see that the committee did a lot of work on this, and I'm actually really impressed to see what's here. But I do have questions. I know it was mentioned that parents were involved on this particular committee, and I'm very interested to know how many of these parents actually utilized the program. I know that a lot of the meetings were held during the day, so I kind of am dumbfounded as to how they could be utilizing the program and be participating in these meetings during the daytime.
The meetings were held actually at various times, but primarily 4:30, 6:30. There were not a lot of daytime meetings.
Well, I guess my question is, a lot of people utilize that program at that time, so I guess that's the part that confused me.
I think they made other arrangements, but I think what you might be referring to, the committee divided itself into 3 subcommittees, and those committees met at various times on their own schedule. So that may have been sometime during the day, sometimes
What
in
is the percentage of, the number of parents who actually participated?
To be very
on this?
honest, without getting the list in front of me, I can't tell you, but I would say it's at least 50 to 60% parents. And I would say to you that at least, I don't know, half or 60 to 70% used the program or a similar daycare program.
Okay.
And we did have some parents who had not yet utilized the program, but who have children of an age where they would need to do it maybe next year.
My next question is, and I know I've had people raise concerns about Central Bucks School District and working for the County of Bucks, I deal with Central Bucks. I know parents who've had children in that program and basically have quoted saying they've been nickeled and dimed to death for one thing or another. One of the luxuries I've really enjoyed about the base program for the last 3 years is that I pay a fee once a month, and I'm not being asked to contribute 2 cents here, $1 there, whatever it would be. I want some guarantee that that's not something that's going to be, repeated here, based on the fact that if you're working directly with Central Bucks, for whatever your reasons are, I have experience and know people who've dealt with them directly. I don't want to see that. I think the program that we have now is very high quality. As you know, I've been in 2 schools at this point and experienced them, and I absolutely love the program I have now. I have never met such creative, wonderful people. And my children, well, my oldest has loved both programs. My youngest and my oldest love the program they have now and wouldn't want to change that.
Again, correction from the standpoint, we're not working with Central Bucks. We just consulted Central Bucks because they have a program.
I just don't want to see any repeating of what they've done, because I have parents who've shared with me, they've been very frustrated and angry, having been in that program, now they're in this school district, and see it being such a much better program than they had before.
Do you know what those parents were questioning, what they were charged for? And what they had to come
You know what, it's a neighbor of mine, and I can find that out, but I will tell you that what she said is, while the program was less expensive, any special activity, they paid for everything. I like that I don't have to worry about that. I don't mind bringing in a snack for something here and there. That's not a big deal for me, but, to have to go to a special activity and pay for that, I didn't like that.
Actually, that was a part of our discussion.
Okay.
And at one point, we had a figure that was lower. And in talking with the parents on the committee, they suggested to us that we increase the price for that exact reason.
Good.
They want a one-time flat fee.
The only other thing is the township
The only
rep.
addition, thank you, would be the township program.
Because we
Would be-
discussed that they thought about ballet and this and that, and I said, there's a lot of parents that just really can't afford that, and they have the peer pressure of their children being the ones on the outside. And so that was a concern, that that parents weren't bombarded with a lot of extra charge options.
But that would
for
be
that
the
time
only
they go
extra
there.
charge, would be the township programs, and that would be optional.
I guess the other question I have is, I know some of you do have children in the base programs, and I know Frank and I have had conversations over the past year about that. Have many of you been able to visit the current programs that exist in the schools, the base programs? 'Cause I'm just curious to know if people have been out there seeing them, because I do want to make sure that that is replicated. I mean, I basically assume that this is a done deal and this is going to happen, and, it's not something to fight, and I'm not really actually going to fight. I just want to make sure that there's quality, that the children that continue to enhance their sense of community. I mean, our school is just amazing. The kids the cafeteria is covered. I invite you to go see it. The cafeteria is covered. The walls are covered with things that these kids have created, and it's just a remarkable thing. And to walk in, come here, Mom, and I'm being pulled in 2 different directions, because, the self-portrait's here, and then the Macy's Day Parade is up on this wall, and the Nap Village is on that wall, and it's just, they have this real sense of pride of their school, and I think that's great, and I want to see that continued.
We, believe it or not, we've had that discussion. We have 2 principals on the committee.
Right.
And I just had that very discussion this afternoon in talking with one of the elementary principals about that concern. And certainly, we do not plan, and if the district does take this program over, our intent is to have, as I said, the same or better than we have now. We just want to enhance it. We don't want to diminish the quality of the program at all. We all agree it's an excellent program.
And I agree with what Mr. O'Donnell is saying in terms of, if people who are working the program now, if there's a way to bring them on board to continue with the quality, I think that's a great idea. And if it means, incentives, I think that's wonderful.
We had that discussion too. We have to be careful legally.
We're good.
You can buy anybody.
Well, yeah, but we can't solicit.
Yes. Folks, anybody else that wishes to come up, make comment. If you want to sort of line up behind the cameraman on this wall, we'll know that, have an idea of how many people will be coming forward. Go ahead, Matt.
Karen Chiari. I have a daughter at Inglewood. We live in Tominson Township. I have another daughter who's in kindergarten, and we don't currently utilize base program because of not having the after-school care there. My daughter has been in Inglewood's base for 5 years, and she's had one of the same teachers for the entire 5 years, which I think is really a credit to the whole program they run there. They have given such a continuity to her, which I think is really important to any child that is in an after-school or any kind of daycare program. It's given her a sense of stability, a sense of safety, comfort. When she walks in there every day, they know whether she's had a good or a bad day. They know how to reach her. From what I hear of other programs in other school districts who run them internally, there is a lot of turnover that they just can't seem to overcome. They may not see the same person every day. They don't know the kids as well. They may not know them by name as well. Just like Mr. O'Donnell said, when my daughter is trying to leave the building to get her bus and they know that she's there, they stop her. I don't think with the same kind of situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it is difficult to fill the food services positions at somewhat the same pay scales. We're having a lot of turnover in there. We've had a lot of trouble. I know in our own cafeteria we've had some kind of situations like that. I feel that it's a very well-run program, mainly because of the way they've been able to attract and hold good people. They offer seminars, they offer conferences, they offer training, they offer full benefits to that group that is there to offer all of this to the children. They are extremely creative, and I feel as a parent, my child is in school all day as it is. I don't necessarily want this to be an extension of the school day. I feel she's had enough by then. I need her to be able to burn off some energy. I don't want her to come home bouncing off the walls. It's already at that time, it's dinner time, it's starting to get late. I like her to be able to go there, blow off a little steam, get a little coziness, get a little comfort, someone to talk to, someone to confide in, relax. I don't want, I'm sorry, Dr. Robinson, I don't want problem solving at that point. She's already burnt out, wired at that point. I think she needs a chance to relax. I just don't see this as a situation where I think what they're doing is a fun. The kids don't even quite realize they're learning some of the things that they do. They do a lot of seasonal. This week at Inglewood, they're doing a lot of Native American with the Thanksgiving theme. But it's not intense. It's not, they get to play basketball. They get to relax. I don't see, and even I mentioned to my daughter, well, maybe you get a chance to use the computer. I said, well, then if we break something, I mean, she's already seeing the ramifications of this. She knows what it'll be like. I also don't like the idea that as a district, you have that much more control over the child that day. I don't think they need to be judged anymore. They've put on a good face the whole day. They're on their good behavior. They're doing everything they want to do. They need a chance to just let their hair down with someone who's not going to judge them and say, what's next day? Hey, I heard you were doing this and this and this. Or this, they came to me. It's already that way in the lunchroom. Oh, they're telling the teachers that they didn't behave well, or they didn't do this, and then the teachers are taking away the recess, or they're doing this for them, or now we can't do this because you aren't behaving in the lunchroom. I don't want the same type of thing in the base situation. I think they ought to be able to be themselves and relax. I feel like, I said my primary concern is that they offer stability, continuity, safety, and fun. And some of the stuff that I've heard, and I know it's an easy thing to say, we're going to recruit, we're going to staff, we're going to do this, but I haven't seen it in other areas within the district. You can't seem to maintain the food service area, the lower paying areas. The hours that this job offers are tough to fill. Who wants to work the morning and then the night? So then you're going to get different people in the day. They seem to be able to hold them that way, and I think that's just such a credit to that program. And overall, it's been hard to maintain a good staff in the district. Overall, I have a real concern in this area where children's lives are impacted so severely. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marion Valero. I live in Upper Gwinnett. I have 2 kids in the Gwinnett Square base program. I feel that base program is an A+ program, and that it would be very difficult for anyone, including the school district, to implement a program that's better. My big fear is that the program would be worse because it would be difficult to compete with the program that's already out there. It's very critical to us as working parents that we have a good before and after school program. If the school district program was inferior, we really have no place to go. There really are not options. My kids are, the older one is too old to be going to a daycare. Finding somebody who will babysit before and after school for a couple hours is absolutely impossible. We rely so much on the base program that I can't even describe how important it is to me. A couple of things that I think are important about the setup that we have now is that the base program has to have its contract renewed every couple years. This forces it to remain competitive. It forces it to provide a high-quality product. The school district would not be under those same requirements. It would not be required to operate with the same efficiency and the same quality as an individual contractor is forced to. As far as the extracurricular activities that you're talking about offering to our children, we've already found ways to get our children into these activities. Our kids go to dance, our kids go to karate, they take music lessons. We've found ways of providing these opportunities for our children. We like to do these activities with our children. We don't want to put them on another bus and see them go off alone to their music class or whatever. We like to participate in these activities with our kids just like stay-at-home moms do. So I don't see those as benefits. And to me, that was about really the only benefit that I heard. As far as cost reduction is not a priority to us. The base program is already extremely affordable. It's far, far less expensive than any daycare I've ever used. And cost is not an object with base. Base is already very, very reasonably priced, and you know, small savings is certainly not what we're looking for as working parents. My recommendation is that the school district stick to what they do so well, which is education, and they leave the base program to EWC. And at minimum, I think that the progress should be slowed down, and this should be looked at thoroughly, because this is a very big deal that impacts an awful lot of families in the North Penn School District.
Hi, my name is Nancy Shaw, and I live in Montgomery Township, and I'm the owner and executive director of the Enrichment Workshop for Children. And I would like to comment on some of the things that have been said today. I'd like to provide some information perhaps from an expert standpoint, and then I have lots of questions, and I'll try to stick to the most pertinent ones. The first is that the benefits that Dr. Robinson outlined were that to the parents that there would be a continued quality program of the same quality, perhaps better than there is now. I'm not sure if you can call that a benefit. That is just a continuation of what's happening now. The students will be enjoying program activities and recreational activities. Again, that's basically what's happening now, with the exception of possibly the Parks and Recs programs coming in, and that is a benefit to the community as well as to the program. The way our contract is written now, that's not a possibility for us, and I would certainly be willing to have the Enrichment Workshop for Children work together with Parks and Recs, with the Scouts, with the Ys, with other groups, to provide things during the hours that the children are in our care. In the past, Scouts used to meet during the time that our program was running, and that was basically stopped because of the space issues, so that the Scouts now meet later, and kids who are in our program either have to come back for Scouts or miss out on it. Another benefit was to the district that they could make changes to the program as needed, and I find that kind of interesting because you're assuring us that basically the program will continue in a very similar manner, and I'm just wondering what changes would be made. And that's not really a question, it's just a question in my mind. What changes would you be making to the program? The main benefits that I see are that you would be able to offer a hot breakfast that would be paid for by subsidies, which will pay for the increase in staff that you would have to hire in order to provide that. That would certainly be a nice thing. We do serve a hearty breakfast snack. It's not a hot breakfast, however. And the other issue is the money to perhaps make $250,000 a year from this program. And I will talk about that in a few minutes, or as long as I have. I'm not sure. Do I have a time limit? 5. Great. Cut me off when I get there. Department of Public Welfare regulations are minimum standards. They are the minimum standards that every daycare center must meet. They are not best practice. They are not something that would get you accredited by professional organizations. They are the minimum standards. So if the minimum standards say that you need 40 square feet per child in a room, that means that if you have an infant or a toddler or a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old, 40 square feet is the minimum that they need. And when you look at a school like Gwyn-Nor, the cafeteria, according to this chart, will allow 76 children in childcare in that space. We choose to keep it to 40 or less, and there's a number of reasons for that. One is that 40 as a group size becomes noisy. Supervision becomes difficult when you have so many children and so many staff in one place. And also that we share that space. I'll give you an example. Every morning, 40 children come in, and it's 30 and more children come in every morning for the breakfast program during the last part of our morning. They come, they walk through the cafeteria, and they start breakfast before 9 o'clock. So there you don't have 40 children in the program, you might have 80 children in that same room. 1 week a month, there's also a school store that's set up, so the space that is used by us earlier in the morning when we have smaller numbers is then decreased by when those volunteers come in to set up the school store. There are a number of mornings when the gym is just not available. So far we've been lucky. The before school activities have not started, but soon 2 mornings a week we won't have that gym from 7:30 on, which basically is the time that our kids are arriving. There are many times that we lose that gym in the afternoon as well, and they're two activities that I consider very valuable. I mean, it's not up to me to decide if they're valuable or not, but I think they're important things. There's market day, there are middle school sports that come and use the elementary school buildings, there's March Madness, which is a basketball program for elementary school kids. In the mornings, there's things like volunteer breakfast, Mother's Day breakfast, Father's Day breakfast, pictures, for instance, pictures set up one day and use the whole gym. When there's school assemblies, they have to set up chairs and things. Space, when you look at that list and say, oh, well, Gwyn-Nor has a gym and a cafeteria, we really don't. We just don't. And if you start to pack more kids in, you start to have real problems with safety and with quality. Under finances, I, of course, have a lot of questions because I do handle the budget for the Enrichment Workshop for Children. Your budget is based upon 958 children, which I'm assuming, Mr. Sowers, that's the number of children that we have in care? That's where you got that number? They don't all attend every day, and therefore they don't all pay the maximum for the month. So if you look at our income, it certainly does not even begin to approach that number. The other thing that concerns me in that budget, there's a couple things. One is the number of staff that you have. There's 5. Path and office space may be a hidden cost. I assume that your director of your program coordinator will have an office somewhere. That's a cost. Office supplies, dues and subscriptions. All of those things are things that are in my budget that that I assume come under the startup supply costs. And if they do, your numbers are far lower than my numbers, or what my numbers would be if I extrapolated to have 958 children every day. And I'd like to rush on to, I have so much to cover, but I'd like to rush on to the staff. And I really think that you're presuming a lot if you're assuming that our staff who currently work for us and who are making a minimum of $17,000 a year are going to remain if you pay them $13,500 a year or $11,250 a year. I have serious concerns about that, and I do have one question that I hope can be answered. With your group supervisor position, how many hours per week would that person be working with the $13,500 salary? I'm not sure who to ask. 25 hours. Would they have time to do preparation, to do planning, to get ready for their program, to work on newsletters, to research in the library, to use a professional library?
Let me suggest that we did not go into the kind of detail you're talking about at this point because we were working under some time constraints and trying to get a report together. We started meeting, I think it was late August, early September, so we've only been working at this for about 2 months. And it was sometime in August, so we've not been working at this a long time. And I would suggest that those are the kinds of questions that we would have to address. But certainly we know, I attended a workshop done by the Department of Public Welfare that's given monthly for people who want to start programs, an all-day workshop. And I'm well aware of the amount of training and staff development that would need to occur. And I think that as a district, we would provide that anyway, because that's something.
But that's not included in your budget, and it has
I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was. What I said to you is we have not looked at the kinds of details you're talking about at this point because we needed to get something in the hands of the board by a certain date. And those are obviously the kinds of questions that we would have to address should we perhaps be charged with proceeding. I think the issue, quite frankly, is whether this committee needs to continue to meet.
Okay, ladies, I need to take other comments here.
Am I allowed to return for a second round?
We've allowed that in the past,
Thank you
yes.
very much.
While they're changing places and someone else is coming.
Okay, sir, wait 1 moment. Mr. Scher was saying something. Also, I need to let all of you know, we shouldn't assume up here that you're all here for base. This is a full agenda. There's many issues on this agenda. This audience of citizens is for all issues or anything that needs to come before the board because tonight is an action meeting. So if you are here for other issues, other reasons, other controversies, etc., please take this time now and come to the podium and use this audience of citizens for those other matters. Mr. Scher.
Yes, I'd like to just remind everyone again that I noted when everyone paid attention to that $249,000, I stated that that did not take in the costs for the facility uses, building uses, and miscellaneous items that are normally charged. It is dealing with personnel benefits and salary costs only. That's why I said it's important to maintain a perspective on that balance. And secondly, we as a committee also realized that we were there to bring the basic parameters of a program forward to the board. We are intending to hire someone who we expect to have experience and expertise in the daycare business that we on the committee would not assume. They come on board in advance. We expect them to bring their expertise to the table and help us design a program that will meet the needs of the parents and the district to the best of anyone's ability within our facilities. So please, there will be more details coming forward on this report. This is just the layout for everyone to understand and to realize that we're not planning on making this a district-run program that's splitting our curriculum staff whatsoever. It will operate within itself like our food service department pretty much does under Dottie Irwin, as a matter of fact. So that's it, thanks. Just to clear that up.
Name and address, please.
Hi, I'm John Wade of Talamansi. I have 2 children using the base service, and I work for Merck, which they have an excellent daycare center, which my kids went to before they used the base program. Merck have a very nice facility and also employ Bright Horizon, which is the nation leading management company for daycare service. But without experience, even with all the experience that they have, the staff turnover are tremendous. My daughter, for her first year there were 5 teachers turnover in her classroom, her direct teachers. On the other hand, we were very impressed by the management and the teachers in place. Miss Furman was there for the For Andrew's first year, second year, she's still here for Rebecca's first year. And when the kids come home, they say the best thing at school actually is space. What makes the difference actually, when you consider, I think a lot of people here sit here, members like myself, being a manager, thinking about many other options and things like this. We forget one thing. Don working at taking care of the kids is the personnel, is the people, not how well we manage. It's actually how well these people work and how well these people understand and are being prepared to do their work. When I go to pick up my kids, they always are working on some projects. And my son, the firstborn, happens to be severely visual impaired. He do not see well. And in the base program, they provide very good care for him. We are very concerned about his safety. Sometimes things do happen. And this is part of being kids I have. And when he take him to medical care, you know what the doctor say? Whoever teaches do the dressing for his wounds is doing an exceedingly good job. That is the training that we can see the base program offer for the staff. A lot of other arts and craft program, science program that are being offered, that the base staff are being trained and offered to the kids. A lot of caring, a lot of things that staff give to the kids. So I would like you to know that it is, as a parent, I hope that you know that we are very concerned about whatever system that you are putting up. And it's not as simple of how well you conceive it or manage. It is actually the people, the personnel who is actually doing it. And whether you can keep or even attract whoever the current personnel to do the job and do equally a good job without a big turnover like we see at Merck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else, please? Honey, your name and address.
My name is Brianna Spees. I live in Lansdale. I've been in base for 3 years, and I just want to tell you the stuff that I like about base and what we do at base. They may have a group at the gym and then another group outside, or some kids doing it inside, being inside doing an arts and craft or playing a game, and their snacks are good, and they take care of me like their family there, and I just really like base.
Thank you very much.
My name is Mark Chubb. I live in Lansdale here. Some of the concerns that I have, and they were highlighted fairly quick tonight. I'm real confident here the district's rushing into something that I don't know that we're fully sure that we can handle or not. I keep hearing how well the committee did, and they did. They did a great job. It's impressive, but I feel like we're rushing this thing. We're rushing it. And as far as I'm concerned as a parent, I don't want you rushing my kid's care. I don't want you rushing into something you're not completely sure about. My son, he's been in base 2 years now. He was in a full-time daycare prior to that. His development, once he entered base, improved a great deal from a professional organization, which I thought was extremely impressive. This base is a well-run program. I think the only way, as of right now, that the district could run this correctly is if they had Nancy in charge. I think that's the way to go. That's the only way. One of the concerns I do have, if the district is to take this program over, I would like to see the profits that are earned from this go into carrying on the Parks and Rec stuff and helping the parents out paying for that instead of the parents getting the extra charges. I don't have it as a parent to put it in. The peer pressure will be a great deal across the kids if they can't contribute and have fun in these programs. I can't see the school district taking any profit whatsoever on our kids on this program. And another thing that was pointed out by Nancy that I see as a problem all the time, the other kids come into the schools for their breakfast program or what have you, and are mingling through the cafeteria or the hallways and stuff. I don't think the schools have that under control. And they want to take over control of my kid from 7 o'clock in the morning? I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think they have enough control of the kids that they watch now. If that's conducted and that's under control first, then I think we could go and entertain this a little further. But at this point, I don't see anything that provides us with enough depth in discussion to keep this going. One of the other things that I have a concern about is Nancy was up here. She's the director of our program now. She's doing an incredible job, and we're rushing her through her part of it. I think if we were to move forward, in this whole thing, even the school district putting any more time or effort into it, we have to get together, the parents of the base kids, the committee that's developed this, and Nancy, and have our own little gathering about this whole thing, because there's a lot of questions and answers that have to be developed here that we're just not going to get done in a meeting like this. And I don't want to rush into something like this with my kid. And I got 2 more kids to put in it. I'm not ready to do that. I don't want base to change.
Mr.
Not
Chubb,
now.
would
Yeah.
you share with us what site you're at?
Gwen,
Gwen, thank you.
and just to highlight that a little bit, last year we didn't have the pleasure of having Nancy at Gwen. She's at Gwen every day now. And just the love my kid has for her is just amazing. Just amazing. I'm impressed. I hope we think this real through thoroughly and stop rushing it.
Hello, my name is Irina Burns. I'm from North Wales. I've only lived here for a couple months now. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I wanted to get some information about what was being offered and the changes that were going to be made, because my son will be enrolled in this program or some program in September. This is the first school board meeting I've ever been at. So I thought I wasn't going to have much to say, and I'm listening to the parents and the other people speaking, and I'm a little bit surprised about one thing. This is a huge endeavor, and I cannot see, based on the 5 minutes that Nancy had to give her a list of considerations, items that she has in her budget, strictly looking at it from a financial point of view. These are things that weren't covered by the committee, and I know the committee didn't have a lot of time to prepare their presentation, but I cannot see how a quality program can get off the ground between now and September. And I hope that this is not a financial consideration. I keep looking at that bottom line number, and I'm hoping that decisions aren't being based on what this program is generating in income. The issue here is families, children, taking care of those children. Some of the benefits that are being listed in this program, I feel almost infringe upon the whole idea of family issues. Breakfast, we have breakfast with my family every morning. I don't feel that that's a benefit to a before school program to offer breakfast. That's something that I think a lot of families already have at home. As somebody pointed out, picking up the children and taking them to the different activities. I don't yet have this in my life, but the woman said that this is something that she does with her children and enjoys doing it. And I don't see how that it takes away from the quality time that people want to have with their children. My caution is, I've just been involved in this. I'm a little bit scared at how quickly people want to move with this decision. I agree. Someone said that the school board is not in the business of daycare. I have to agree with that. If there, I keep thinking as I'm listening to everybody speak, if it's not broken, why fix it? It sounds like a wonderful program. I have not been there. I will make a point of being there next week to see how the program runs. If there's nothing wrong with it, if it's such a well-run program, I can't see what benefit would be had to have a school board get involved in an area that it's not their expertise. I would like to see the school board stick to schooling. And this is not a schooling issue, this is a care issue. And providing a little bit of variety for our children. Like one woman said, she doesn't need her child to learn problem solving after school, and I have to agree with her. These are young children, they need time to unwind and to have fun. And I think that that's what the purpose of this program is. And I cannot imagine how something of this magnitude can get underway between now and September. Because if that was the case and that was the goal, I can't see how it would be improved. There's not enough time to get something of this magnitude underway, and we're talking about the welfare of 900 some kids. I would hate to rush with something so important. So I just would like everybody to consider how much work needs to yet be done, and the reality of it, having it done well between now and September. And it seems like the people that are operating it now are doing what they do best, and I really can't be confident that a school board would be able to run a daycare just as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Anna Shelton, and I'm a resident of Hatfield, and I have a child at Penfield Middle School and a child at Hatfield, and I'm very interested in this issue. I am a base teacher at Hatfield Elementary and have been with the base program for 4 years. I have 3 areas of concern. Personally, the salary right now, I would not even consider working with the children, even though I love the job. I think my talents are being used. It would just be a big, big cut. Even if you got the salary up to the level that most of the teachers need, my concern is of support. There are 3 directors for base. I see my director at least 3 or 4 times a month. We are lucky at Hatfield. The children are well behaved. We don't have any major discipline problems. The parents are very supportive. If you only have 1 director, I don't see that director getting into the 13 schools to look into the program, and that is very, very important. You need to check with Central Bucks to see how often their director gets into the schools and sees what's going on. Just having a director walk in, that support is right there. There are a lot of base teachers here. We have developed a great relationship with each other. We're there to support each other. We meet once a week for head staff meetings. I am talented in the area of sports, games. I share my expertise with all these crafty people. They share that expertise with me. I don't see anywhere in the proposal where we would be getting together. I guess we'd have to get together, on our own. The other is of space. I know a lot of you are concerned about, I know at Hatfield there's a waiting list, but if you are trying to take all the children that apply to come to the program, and I couldn't imagine having more than 40. I guess that multi-purpose room in Hatfield is the gym. I couldn't imagine having more than 40 children in there doing some of the games that we do. I am a phys ed major, so I know how to use gym space, and I know how to use the cafeteria space, but I know Nancy had mentioned the concern, noise level. You get a whole bunch of children in there, and then if you start spreading them out into classrooms to libraries. The children need a place to come after school where they can be active. You put them behind desks or behind tables, it's not going to be the same type program. But like I said, I love working with the children. As a teacher, I hope that you will reconsider and really look into this issue.
Hi, my name is June Rushmore. I'm a 6-year resident of Montgomery Township. I live in Hatfield. My son just spent 5 years at the Oak Park base, and my daughter is in her third year of Oak Park base. And in the very beginning, Dr. Robinson, you posted up the overhead, and you said 5 questions that you were going to address, but you didn't address the first 2. And I'd really like to know, no one actually who's been up here has actually said, yes, we want the school board to take care of our kids after school. We want North Penn to take care of us. No one has come up and said, yes, this is a good idea. I want to know why this change is taking place. What prompted this to occur, other than the bottom dollar? Can anyone answer why the school board decided to take this on?
I think Mr. Hill did address that initially in some discussions last year with the base provider.
Okay.
Well, it's been stated clearly that, and we've stated over and over again, the questions being brought, name things are here. We want to run a program as well as it's being run now and build upon it and we have other ideas to expand on it to it and hopefully make it a better program as we move on. But the main reason that the district, the board, is considered taking the program under themselves is that the program obviously is it a profitable program or the contractor wouldn't be in the business. It's a profitable program. And the question was, if other school districts can run a program, North Penn is capable of doing anything any other school district can, and maybe better. And that we feel that we can run the program, and those funds that we are able to keep in the price the same, and funds we're able to acquire under this program can be used to maybe expand the program or do other things for the district, for the taxpayers of the district, other than paying them to a contractor. So the primary thing that started this work is the financial aspect of it.
Okay, there's 958 children in the base program, or what you have anticipated for the base program. So how many children are there in all the elementary schools right now?
7,400.
7,000? So you're only talking about 10%? The school board wants to... 12% of the kids that are currently in the elementary schools right now is what you want to, that's what you're taking care of.
In the existing program.
In the existing program. Well, I really do think this school board's biting off way more than it can chew, and I have to tell you, if it comes down to it, I probably wouldn't register my kids in this program for next year. My kids love going to base, and I can't understand why, if everybody who comes up here says they like base so much, they don't want anything to change, and they don't want the people to change, why the school board's going to insist on doing this. It almost seems like it is a done deal, that there really isn't any option. You guys aren't going to all say, oh no, we all changed our mind and we're not going to do it anymore. It's going to go ahead. And why, when you guys are the only ones that really want it to happen, is it's going to go ahead when every parent who's come up here has said they're happy with it and they really don't want to see any of the changes. So there really isn't a chance that this isn't going to happen, right? This is going to go through.
Well, as Betty said, I'll have to agree. The committee was charged with bringing forward a plan for an in-house program with the caveat, unless they found compelling reasons why the district could not or should not bring this in-house.
Okay.
Along with the issues that Mr. Hill raised, there's always been the issue of our liability versus responsibility versus authority. There's no way we can ever run from the fact that we are always, at any moment, vulnerable to being held responsible or liable, co-named for something that happens in the base program, even though it's not our program. We've had parents, and I'm not here to say anything derogatory, but when we do receive calls with someone that has a concern about the base program, for the most part, we really have no authority over how the base program runs, and yet it is our students on our property. So that's always been an issue for this board. And it's gone for many years. I mean, I think every 2 years we've discussed possibly bringing this in-house. Last year, in the spring, it was decided that we were going to look to try to move it in-house. And that's why the committee worked under that understanding. It's not to be cast on the dam, that's why the committee was formed.
So there's not like there weren't like thousands of parents calling up the school board and saying, we really don't like this program, and obviously she's doing such a wonderful job running it.
To be quite honest, no one's seen the program. I believe if we were taking this new program,
Right.
You said you don't want this new program.
I hesitate to sign my kids up for the program, to have
I
it be
can
different. I
appreciate
would
your
do something
concerns,
else.
and that's why this committee was filled with parents
Mhm.
and parent perspectives in order to address those concerns. It's why we started in August. When this base program first came into this district code without any daycare program, it happened in May.
Mhm.
And somehow there was a program by September when there was none existing inside this district, no model to follow. And that's to Mrs. Shaw's credit, most definitely. That just goes to show, though, that it can be done. What I'm saying is that if we were running an in-house program right at this moment and talking about outsourcing it, I do believe hundreds of parents would be saying, don't change. And that's because change in a situation like this is always a little worrisome. I just say that as we move forward, we're going to be looking for help with expertise, and we're still going to be looking for community input, parent input. What's here today isn't the last opportunity for parents to have a say as to how this program's formed. And we as a district are actually more accountable to you than any nonprofit or private organization that's running a daycare program would necessarily be.
Is there anybody else lined up here? Thank you, madam. Okay.
My name is Carol Simcox, and I live in the borough of Lansdale. And I have to applaud the committee for all your hard work. It's very creative, all your thinking, and I know that down at the bottom of the issue is the fact that you have our children's interests at heart. And some of the things that I think are most exciting are the partnershiping with the community. And even if the present program stayed in place, I don't see why that couldn't be explored further, because the district is certainly an enormous player in this community, and we've gotten the respect of other large players in the community. You have a wonderful partnership in place with the Merck Institute for your science program that our children enjoy. I am a parent of children who have used BASE. I currently have one child in BASE, and previously I've had two. I work part-time, and I do have to say that the revenues were overstated because I only used the BASE program morning and afternoon 3 days a week, and my monthly bill was only about $190 for 2 children. So that is one thing I didn't even look at the report till tonight, so I just wanted to say that. But secondly, I think that the most compelling reason for staying out of the business of daycare is the fact that this is an enormous school district, and I think that your interest would be better served making every one of our schools a blue ribbon school. And there's safety issues to be concerned with in our schools, and I think that it is a little bit more than you should be expected to bite off. I applaud you for taking on the initiative, but I think that it's something that if it's not broken, why fix it? And as a parent whose child won't be in BASE in 3 years, I think that I might resent the effort and the ongoing work and diligence and liability and every other issue that you'll be confronted with for 958 or 1,000 students when there are 13 or 14 or 15,000 school children in the district. So I think that's the most compelling reason. You have a lot more than the BASE children to consider, and you have enormous jobs right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Madam President. I want to speak on a different topic, that's why we're at the end.
Certainly, that's fine. That's what
And
this
then
time's for.
I want to address a couple documents, and I hand them to you to give out to
Certainly.
the board members.
The board secretary. Thank you.
Michael McMonagle, 300 Greenwood Road, Borough of Lansdale. My topic also concerns the best interest of children. And the background would be that if I had come here 12 months ago, or even 6 months ago, and told you that there would be a neighboring school district in which a high school guidance counselor would take money from the school's fund for their high school play and give it to a girl to go to New Jersey to get an abortion, you would have thought I was nuts. But as you know, this has happened. This has happened in the Hatboro-Horsham School District. And indeed, the parents were lied to by this counselor. They were treated at best shamefully by the principal. And I'm here tonight to commend the school district for the policy committee beginning to address this problem and to encourage you to move carefully but expeditiously to enact a policy. The policy that I read in the paper Monday I think is reasonably good. It's a good start. And I would like to ask the counselor for the school district what's the next step here. I believe it's in your office for review.
It is being reviewed, sir.
I would like the school board to take note that it is perfectly constitutional and legal for the school district to encourage childbirth over abortion. I believe that should be the policy of the school district. No one in the school district should ever be involved with arranging an abortion for a minor. Sad to say, but that minor can, on her own, go to New Jersey or do the judicial bypass in Pennsylvania. But it's just an outrage that a school district would treat parents, the young girl and her child like this. And lastly, I think part of the proposed policy mentioned what if a girl comes who's pregnant, who doesn't want an abortion, but just needs help? What should the school district policy be for that? Well, I'd like to inform the board and everyone here that there is an extensive network of help available to any girl, free of charge. Any kind of help she needs, it's there. Just call the hotline of this brochure, which is referenced in that proposed policy. So, unless there's any questions, that ends my remarks.
Is this the Delaware Valley
Yes, that's
Alliance brochure, Terry, that you're referencing?
Yes.
In that policy? Michael, I have those cases. I brought them with me too tonight, but I was going to
Yeah,
distribute them separately.
what I provided you was a copy of the brochure and a copy of the complaint against the Hatboro-Horsham School District, which, by the way, the facts have not been challenged by the defendant in the case yet.
Policy is still under work, and at the November 30th meeting of the policy committee, that'll probably be brought forward for discussion.
Okay, well, thank you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the school district currently does not have a policy on this.
We don't have a board policy as such. We have a practice of a policy. That's why we're working on a policy.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mr. McMonagle, where is this on the docket in terms of, is this with?
It is a,
United States District Court?
The judge tried to get a settlement, Judge John. There was some settlement negotiations that did not happen. The defendant has filed a motion to dismiss, which means they don't challenge the facts, but they just say, under the law, you don't have a case. If that is not granted, then the case goes to depositions and eventually to a trial.
Okay, so, but there's no set time for trial?
No.
At this point?
Well, I think it's important to note this case went beyond a student going to a guidance counselor and picking up a brochure for childbirth and pregnancy and
Let's
abortion.
not discuss that here.
I mean, this case was way beyond that. We don't even allow our employees to use the activities fund and play bank teller with it, such as was involved there. So in some aspects of it, we did ask that there are practices, written practices out there, accounting practices or various policies. I mean, an employee in this district, correct me if I'm wrong, Judy, you're the closest we have. If they were to have made a call, if they were to provide a false excuse for the absenteeism for a student, there would be, within our current practices, an opportunity for disciplinary action for such a thing?
On the facts.
I mean, if they actually underhandedly arranged. That's a basic discipline problem. I mean, these are bizarre circumstances, I think, as they're cited here.
But be note, the principal and superintendent are defending guidance counselor. That is why I assume that we need a policy.
Well, as we do, and I think it should be for all medical procedures. I don't believe our employees should be giving, medical advice.
Becky, that's why the policy is being worked on.
But this one's specific to abortion, and I don't think it has to be entertained in that restricted level. A medical procedure is not something that
Let's look at the policy before we discuss it. That's the.
Bring it before work session.
There's
Not an
nothing
action
here.
meeting. We don't have to do
There's
that.
nothing here.
There's nothing here?
There's no policy here before us,
Nothing-
nothing here. to
Policy
work with
reading.
tonight.
It's a newspaper reading, but it's not a policy
Right.
reading.
Terry?
Thank you, Madam President.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. McMonigle. Anybody else, please? Yeah. Yes, Nancy, I'll entertain you again, but let's have anybody who hasn't spoke for the first time to come forward. Thank you.
H. Bruce Gordon, Montgomery Township. Before the night gets too old, I just, as a school director-elect and soon-to-be rookie of the board, would like to thank Mr. Mosey for his years of service on the board and wish him well as he moves back into private life. Thank you, Mr. Mosey.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Good luck to you.
Bobby Penniman, Lansdale Borough. I have a couple of things to talk about, I guess. The first being base. I'm just amazed that we would even think about taking a profit from a program such as base and using it to subsidize, so to speak, other school board activities in the same fashion that we don't take money from our school lunch program, the monies that parents are paying there, and subsidize other school activities. They go directly back into the food service program. To me, it's the same thing. If as I see this train going down that same track, and I'm standing on the track right now, and I'm far enough away from the train that I can jump out of the way because I think the train is going to hit me, or try to. I think this is a done deal. So now it's a matter of making the best of it and being sure that the right things are done. And one is to not make a profit out of base. If any profits come out of the day-to-day operations, which I very much doubt if a true pro forma was done in incorporating all of the elements that we've talked about today, all of the incidental costs that were not included in Mr. Sauer's pro forma. I've never seen quite such a bare bones pro forma in all of my life, but be that as it may. Not having any experience in this area, I guess that's what we should expect, a lot of mistakes. If any profit does come, if there is anything on the bottom line, it should go right back into the base program or the ESC program or whatever it is. One of the reasons that my child is not in the base program now is because as a working parent, I don't have quite as many free days as our school is not in session. I don't have in-service days that I could take off to be with to keep my child at home with me. I don't have as many holidays as our school calendar has. I don't have half-days. I don't have the extensive vacation time at the end of the year, Christmas holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, that whole, that long period. I don't have that. I rely on another child care program that I think is a very quality program that does provide me with coverage during those very important times. And I think that if we were to go forward with this program, we have to consider all of those additional days in order to make it a viable option for parents who have comparable work schedules and vacation schedules to mine. If we go forward, I'm rushing very much because I'm very cognizant of the time factors here. If we move forward, would the program be open to students in this geographic area who are not currently within the North Penn School District community right now. In other words, participants in any private or parochial schools in our area, as BASE is now. I really feel very strongly that the level of support that I hear for the BASE program is so high, and I've heard it now for at least 3 years. And I think that the reason this is before the board is because of a very small number of very vocal people who have somehow said some magical words and got the attention of the board. And maybe it's the bottom line issue. I think that's very much misguided if it's on the basis of the type of pro forma that we see in our packet today. I was very surprised to see Mr. McGonigal come to the podium and to talk about a policy that is not in front of the work session, but since the subject has been raised, I very much have to chime in. I think the Reporter had on its front page 2 or 3 days ago the verbatim verbiage for the proposed policy on pregnancy. So I think the wording of this is known to many people who are reading the paper or who have taken the time to come over to the district and obtain a copy of the proposal. I think it's apple pie and absolutely appropriate that the school district adopt Article number 1 in the policy, which reads as follows. This is a proposal. It is school district policy that school district personnel and those contracted with by the school district are to encourage and facilitate communication between students and their parents on the issue of pregnancy. Well, for goodness sakes, of course, that's most appropriate. That's what we all encourage. Unfortunately, there are many people in this world who do not have the wherewithal to communicate with their parents. The lines of communication might not be there. The parents might not be there for one reason or another, in which case students might reach out to other responsible members of the community. In many cases, that would be a member of their school community. I think it is highly inappropriate for the school board to move forward and even consider Article number 2 in this policy. Just to sidetrack for one minute, the committee has presented this proposal to the board solicitor. Given some other issues that have come before this board and conversations before this board, I know very well that one person, one school board member, is not able to present a matter for consideration by our solicitor. There must be a consensus by committee members or school board members before a matter can be presented to the solicitor. Am I correct on that?
No, that's not correct, Mrs. Penman. That's not correct.
But I believe we've had school board members chastised for bringing items to our solicitor for review, consideration, evaluation, whatever.
May I?
It was brought forward by the committee.
So, my point is, then, that the proposal has already gone through the committee. Obviously, the committee is in concurrence with the proposal.
No.
No, they weren't. That's why
They
they
were
went to
not.
solicitor.
We didn't even discuss it to any degree. We passed it on the solicitor just for.
It was
the-
too hot for him to handle. It's coming back
It's
to
still at
us
a
as a
work
committee.
level.
Relax.
You're ahead of
The
yourself.
words may be
Way
100%
ahead.
different when
It's
written.
all right.
Way ahead of yourself.
Okay.
Okay. I'm pleased to hear that. I would hope that when the solicitor reviews the proposal, that item 2 would be struck in its entirety. I don't believe that it's constitutional for a school district to intervene in any counseling activity other than as stated in Article number 1, and that is to refer the student to their own parents or to a physician. I really object most vehemently to the proposal, the Article 2B, where a specific agency has been cited as the only source that a student can be referred to. Excuse me, I'm getting called. Thank you.
All those variations listed.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Penniman, if you'd wrap up.
Yes, back to our regular agenda. I see a long list of substitute teachers under consideration this evening. I'm curious as to whether or not any of those substitutes are non-certified teachers.
I don't believe they are.
Thank you. Thomas Whalen's name appears in the, could someone explain to us who he is?
Former board member.
The former board member who's on the North Penn Authority, and it's a proposal to re-elect him to that position.
That's
Reappoint him to that position, excuse me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name's Kevin Olson. I live in Hatfield Township, and I have 2 children. My wife and I have 2 children that have been part of the BASE program. I have a son, Brad, who's been in the program since 1st grade. He's now in 6th grade. I have a daughter, Lindsay, who's in 1st grade. So we foresee utilizing the program as it exists in whatever form for the next few years at least. I want to preface a couple comments with saying that we've been pleased with the BASE program, how it exists today. My son Brad has been in it for 4 or 5 years now, and the program's never let us down. We've always been pleased with it. The cost has been affordable, I think reasonable. We went our go-around with the whole daycare scene. I'm glad to be relieved of that at this point. It's quite a savings in itself. But we're really pleased with the BASE program. My kids love it. They're actually having BASE withdrawal this year. We have the kids walking home from school in the afternoon, and to be honest with you, they're bored. Some days they come home, they just soon stay at BASE. The idea being they're happy at school, I guess, and I don't think you want to change that if at all possible. You want the kids to be comfortable, as one of the other people that were up this evening mentioned, that they're happy being at school. They're happy with the teachers and the way the program seems to run. I question a couple things. What I didn't hear tonight, and but let me back up. I want to say I really respect all the work that goes into these reports. I know it's an awful lot of work, and I know it's hard to put together on short notice and things of that nature. It's a very difficult process. I've been to a couple school board meetings now, which is something I'd never done before, but I have a newfound respect for what goes on and what doesn't go on at times. I know it's not an easy job. So it's interesting to finally see, kind of in print, the ideas that have been talked about. You hear it in a whisper down the lane kind of fashion, and you really can't evaluate what makes sense or what doesn't make sense. I was jotting down a couple thoughts. What I didn't hear tonight was how far, there doesn't seem to be any kind of background, like a study or demographics that I've heard that suggest this is a long-term endeavor. The only thing I kind of heard tonight, and it was brought up at other school board meetings, when the change was talked about being initiated, was that was sort of a financial endeavor, if you will. It's maybe a profitable business now, and that's great for several people maybe in the area who are either running daycares or, in this case, the BASE program. Has the school board had anybody looking at figures like they do with enrollment? I know class sizes are always a big issue. What will happen? What's expected for the scenario 5 years from now? Will there still be the enrollment expectations in the program like this? If the school board, the district takes this program over, what happens 5 years from now when it's maybe no longer such a profitable business? And my fear is not so much for my situation, but getting in at the ground level, I'd like to provide some input and ask that you consider the long-term implications. It's not something that you want to start because you think it sounds good and then maybe you think you can do it better. I think I echo some of the sentiments of other people here tonight that probably the main focus should be the education and everything of the existing school body. I think tinkering with something that's not broken is what everyone's kind of said, is what my sentiments are. So I would like to know at some point, maybe when I finish speaking, if there's been any studies or any kind of evaluation of do we really need to do this? They threw some numbers around. There's only 900 kids involved in it, and it seems kind of strange, like to commit the resources and the time and the energy to all this when it doesn't seem to really be necessary. It sort of sounds like it's a if you build it, they will come mentality that it's sort of here. And I don't mean to sound sarcastic. I just mean it to sound like I say, it's not backed up by any numbers. In other words, if we implement these programs, what's to say that they're really going to be used? And so that would be my concern, being hesitant towards putting all the time and energy that it will take, I guess, to get the thing going, and then just kind of hope it works or hope it keeps going, you know, like that would be my main concern. So, that's pretty much it. I've been happy with the base program. It works good for me and our family. Our kids love it. No matter what happens, the goal I think should be to continue to provide an atmosphere for the kids where they continue to be happy at school and after school and before school. And, that's all. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, folks, 2 points of housekeeping. First of all, student cameraman, how much time do we have on the tape?
40 minutes.
40 minutes, okay. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak before the board on any matter whatsoever and hasn't spoken? Oh, wait a minute.
It has not.
It's not on base. I've talked once, but I...
New issue?
Real
Okay.
quick,
Yes.
if I could. My son plays in the basketball with Montgomery here. I had a concern that really bothered me the other day. We were over there for practice, I believe it was last Thursday night, at Knapp School. You go in Knapp School, it was a brand new school for me to go into. I was a little confused where to find the gym. Well, I come back out of the gym, didn't know which way I was going. My son's this way, I'm that way. 2 of the 3 doors I went to had chains locking them closed. That bothers me. God forbid anything ever happened. They were the first 2 exits closest to the gym. They'd be the ones I'd go to, and they both had chains on them. I have a serious concern behind that.
They were keeping Carrie Beavers out.
Excuse me?
There was an activity going on?
Yes, we were in there basketball. Yeah. I don't believe even if there's not an activity going on and there's a janitor or anybody in that building that any door should be locked closed like that. They all have panic bars and stuff on them
Yeah,
for a
isn't
reason.
that the new section too? I mean, in the gym,
Yeah.
if you go to the right, that's the new addition.
They were chain closed.
Okay, the matter will be taken up with Mr. Feely and Mr. Strobel. Gentlemen, would you get on that issue immediately? I don't think we have to overdo it because somebody about 5'10", 200 pounds, blonde hair, writes for a local paper, has...
He didn't go in through the gym, he went through the front door.
I heard he went through the girls' locker room.
No.
That's why.
Front door.
I heard differently.
He went through the front door.
Okay. Anyway.
Amazing, goes through the front door, we locked the gym.
We're going to
door.
miss you, Karen. We're going to miss you, buddy.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Mrs. Shaw. Anybody else? That's it? Mrs. Shaw, if you want to wrap.
Thank you, Nancy Shaw, Montgomery Township.
Nancy, I'm sorry, one moment.
Sure.
Can I hear something, Mac? You had something, Mike?
Yeah, regarding the tip line.
Okay. When Mrs. Shaw's done, then the student government's going to wrap, okay? You wrap us up. All right.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank all those who've had kind words about BASE, because we certainly feel that we are a program to emulate, and we're glad to hear that people recognize that. Our staff have worked very hard for that. And as most of you up here know, and I'm not sure if all the parents and people in the audience know, Our program has been cited in the last few years by the United States Department of Education and the United States Department of Justice as an exemplary program, and I myself have been named as a contact person or a resource person with the United States Department of Justice for after-school programs. That's something that we're very proud of and something that we want to continue to be able to offer. My final point that I would like to make is that the report today states that the committee was formed with the intent of determining whether the school district should consider taking over the daycare program. In the minutes, the initial minutes, the mission was written, and it did not say whether it should be taken over or not. It said that the mission of that group was to create and develop and plan for a school district-run program. And I know that Dr. Robinson wrote the mission, but I question where that came from initially without the weather in it. There was no weather in it. And I know from speaking to different people who have been on the committee that there is some feeling among some of the members that they felt that they did not have the option to say that they did not want to recommend that this go forward. I'm wondering if there was a vote taken. Under recommendation, it says the committee recommends that they, number one, accept the committee's proposal. Was there a vote taken by the committee at large?
Let me speak to that, so I don't want Betty to be caught in this, is the fact that the board's direction was, the feeling of the board was a year ago that they wanted to undertake this program if it was at all possible.
Yes.
The committee was formed to determine if it was at all possible. So the mission statement or the whole program of that committee was, the board wants to do the program, you tell us how to do it or tell us it can't be done. And that was basically what the committee's direction was. We didn't ask the committee to vote on that. The board asked the committee to be formed for that direction.
The mission did not say whether or not to form it, though, or if it should form, or if it should do it. The mission as written, and I don't have it in front of me, but if it were to be read, it does not give that option. Dr. Robinson, of course, said that they were asked to move forward unless there was a compelling reason not to move forward.
That's correct.
I wonder why it wasn't that the mission is to move forward if there is a compelling reason to move forward.
No.
No, I'm just saying that I disagree with the mission.
The board's direction was they wanted to go with the program at that time.
I
The committee was to
understand
tell us
that.
if there was a reason why we shouldn't.
And I'm saying that I disagree with that point of view. I'm just stating that here. Also, several people have used the train analogy, that they feel that there's a train on the track, and of course I certainly feel that way too, and you might call it railroaded, but I feel there's a train running down the track, and I wonder what it's going to take to stop it. Dr. Robinson, did you receive our petition that we had dropped off yesterday?
Yes, I was going to bring that up at the end of the audience of citizens.
Okay.
That you did submit a petition. I believe you indicated there were about 500 signatures. And the letters that we have received, I don't have an exact count, but I would say approximate about 30. And they have been, up until, I think we sent everything to the committee members probably Monday or Tuesday of this week. So we sent every letter that came in to the committee members and to in the packet.
I think I got 17.
With
Right.
the board.
And we appreciate that, and I know the parents who sent those appreciate it. And we did not intend to do a petition originally. We were asked by a number of parents to put out a petition. It did not go out till Friday afternoon or Monday morning, depending on the schools, and in 2 days, we had 500 signatures out of approximately 725 families. We don't see all families every day, so I think the number would have been either higher. And I'm just hoping that 500 bodies in front of that train will stop the train. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then behind
Very
them,
quick.
student government.
For the degree requirements, I know that a lot of the head-based teachers that exist now don't meet these requirements to be head instructors. And I guess my question is, how much concession can be made with that? I mean, I know mine is wonderful, and I would pay extra just to keep her. And I know for a fact, I mean, she doesn't fit that criteria. What kind of concessions would be considered?
I can just say to you, the criteria we used came from the Department of Public Welfare. We chose the categories that they supply, and those are their requirements.
Okay, but how can the
So-
program exist now and employ people who don't meet those requirements and who do an excellent job,
A
if
lot
that's the requirements of the department. I understand that.
A lot depends on what, I think, how you title
Okay.
the job. And I know, under the title of certain things like teacher and instructor rather, and, if you're going to be the group supervisor, those are the things that you must have according to the state regs that
But
we
what
got.
about for like where it says instructor, not the instructor assistant, I think it was, but to be an instructor, I'm talking about that.
Well, those are the requirements that, as we understood them from the information from the Department of Public Welfare. I can share that information with you.
Okay, please.
Okay, Matt Casey? You're
My name's
psyched, right?
Matt Casey, I'm from North Wales, and I'm the school board, one of the school board liaisons for North End High School. Regarding the crime prevention tip line, since last Tuesday's meeting, the Student Government Association has held a meeting of the House, the Senate, and the Cabinet. So close to 200 North Penn High School students have had the opportunity to speak, like voice their opinions on what they think of the tip line. A large majority of the students feel that the tip line will be abused by the student body, and a lot of kids are concerned with, a lot of good kids are concerned with reputations being scarred, having lockers searched, and I think that if the tip line is utilized, like if the services hired by the board, that there needs to be thorough explanation right away, as soon as possible. Like on a side note, if it were up to the students, there would probably be no discipline code at all. So,
Wow, that's obvious.
I think this is definitely a decision that the board has to make, but I think you should also keep in mind what the students feel about the tip line. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Donna?
much.
Can I make a suggestion that we supply to Mr. Casey the same policies and procedures that we got in our board packet?
Right.
That is currently being used and will continue to be used, so that they understand
Right.
what will and what will not happen
Right.
should an incident occur.
Nothing's being changed.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Matter of fact, Christine, would you make sure that we not only provide one copy, but Mac, if you can give us the number of all the kids that are representative on your Senate that were part of that vote, or that consensus that you have taken, that we have that number and they be mass produced from the ESC, and they be provided to your government. Okay? Also, which one of you affectionately named the tip line the North Line? North Line. Which one of you did that? Neither you two. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've been sitting for 2.5 hours. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Got the important ones here.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that train's coming.
The left-hand side of the table's here.
Okay.
Breakfast ready?
All right, folks, I've concluded the audience of citizens. Now it's back to, why is Dottie going like this? Oh, okay.
Hi, Dottie.
Oh, it's that Don thing again, okay. Okay, superintendent's report. Folks, let's keep moving.
Thank you. I would like to pass on regrets from Bob. He is suffering from a bout of the flu, and his doctor told him he had to stay home tonight, especially if he was planning on going to the football game tomorrow night. He had to gain his strength and be ready to show up tomorrow night. So.
His
That's what I
priorities
call
are straight, aren't
They
they?
are.
There's a man
There's
whose
a guy whose priorities are straight.
Priorities.
He's gonna watch this, so put your digs in now. Go ahead.
He wrote that out for me to
He
say.
wrote-
Item 4A, Recommend approval of waiver of tuition status for students whose names are on file in the Office of Special Education and Student Services in accordance with Board Policy 5118.
So moved.
Motion by Mosley, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
4B, recommend approval of the North Penn High School Academy Program effective 2000-2001 school year.
So moved.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Mosley. Questions?
Just to comment, to reiterate what I said earlier, Madam President.
Check it out.
I don't want to see duplication here.
I don't
Check it
either,
out.
and I'm very concerned about that. And I thought when I first came on the board in '91, there was a big thing about upgrading the VOTEC to the Technology Center, Career Center.
Right.
And now it sounds like, doesn't matter what they did, we're gonna do this here anyway, and
That's
it
right.
does sound like
Well,
duplication.
It's my understanding that they are separate and they aren't going to be competing for the same students, but I will check out
And yet at the
what
same
you
time,
brought up
Dr.
here.
Irwin is not, according to Dr. Irwin, he's not aware of this?
I asked him about the
There's
other.
Well, he
something,
doesn't know how it's
can we
going to
table
work.
it?
He doesn't know how it's going to work either.
Daddy did say it was.
Can we table
Yeah,
it?
the discussion that we.
Sure we can.
Good.
Well, this is for
Table
30
it.
students,
Change the motion.
and I don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Motion to table.
No.
Read back from Ms. Liberowski. Who made the motion? Who made the second?
O'Donnell made the motion, Mosley seconded.
Mr. O'Donnell, your preference.
May I bring
To
this?
leave it alone or table it?
How about eliminating just the
Vicki,
engineering?
please, can we have some
Trying to
semblance of
think for a
order?
second, thank you.
Go ahead.
We'll table it.
You're tabling, you're pulling your
I move
motion?
to take my.
You're pulling your motion. Mr. Mosey, where are you?
I concur. I would like to table till we get it straightened out.
Can I make a motion?
Okay, is there a motion to be, is there another motion and a second?
A motion to table it, or motion to
move
not
to go
address it at the
forward.
moment?
Okay, what, Bill, I heard what you said. I heard Terry first.
Okay.
You have a motion to table? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, if
I'll
this,
go
if
first,
this
right.
proceeds, then that works? And that-
If you want to table the motion?
Right,
Yes.
okay.
No, I have a comment.
We vote to table, right?
May I suggest a
generally no
compromise that
discussion
we
on a
simply
motion to
remove
table.
the engineering academy from the vote? There's no other issues with the other two, as I understand it, correct? There's 3 separate academies.
Right, okay. Do you want to amend your motion
To table the engineering.
to table the entire academy program?
I'd like to postpone everything a month,
Okay.
everything.
Mr. Mosey,
I'll second that.
you support what you've
Mrs.
already put on the
Rakowski,
table?
right.
Okay,
May I add a comment?
sure.
If that's the wish of the board, approval of changes to the program of studies are affected by that. In other words, there were new courses added.
Right.
That had to be tabled.
That's
as well.
why we put that after the academy vote. If you wish to delay, then I prefer that we also delay that vote, although I would like, if possible, to include that maybe in the special action in our work session in December.
That could be done.
If I can get you
You
the
have
answer.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
fine.
postponement is?
I just want more
till that-
information.
To the work session in December.
Fine.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table?
We have comment about that motion, right?
Yes.
You're worried about duplication, so you're pulling the motion?
Terry?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We did have that question of Vince Cotter when we
I
did this.
asked him.
And even though I don't know if you have a satisfactory answer because of what you talked to with Dr. Irwin, I've never heard anything different from the administration about what we asked originally. That they did not consider this to be a duplication, but they were going to check with Mike Irwin to see what he offered and the curriculum. I think they were going to review with what he was offering.
That's
And
right.
and to as of Monday night, they hadn't done that.
Right.
And it was
As
my
of Monday
understanding
night, they
that
hadn't
Dr.
done
Cotter
that.
was
They
gonna
hadn't
do that.
concurred
I
with
haven't
Dr.
heard from
Irwin.
him yet.
Okay, well, that's what I want to clear up. I want to make
Yes.
sure, you're saying Dr. Irwin doesn't know anything about it, and I'm telling you, when Vince even made the presentation, he said that he talked to the VOTEC about what they offered and how they did it. I mean, he did mention that in the
Well,
academy
that's fine,
presentation.
but when I mentioned to Dr. Irwin, I said, I understand they coordinated with you about the new engineering program, because I know nothing about it. That was his answer to me. You were there.
Yeah, but that doesn't make
Correct,
sense.
and
Sounds like a
also-
conflict.
Let me clarify,
confused about it.
Brian, I'm
Yeah,
in
that's-
favor of it,
that's fine.
except I don't want a duplication. I want to take
All right.
from.
And I'm afraid
the
that we have
textbook.
people,
Stop.
or
No,
are we
wait.
starting a
Let me finish.
special program because there's some people that look at the technical careers and certificates of VOTEC and they don't want to go there, so we're gonna initiate a program at the high school to satisfy those people?
Well, let me try to clarify one thing about this. The explanation that Dr. Cotter gave at the meeting last week. The Academy concept deals with 5 O-level students. The students in the North Montco engineering program is primarily designed for the technical end engineering interest. This is more for those students who are interested in a college-bound engineering program,
Excuse me, Dr.
which is a
Venom.
different audience.
Excuse
And
me,
that was the
Dr. Venom,
difference.
but Dr. Irwin did concur to us on Monday night that 80% of their
well-
kids out of that program going to college.
It just doesn't sound clean.
Is it
I'm just
501?
explaining what the point was.
I know,
made.
I agree, but I'm just telling you what was told to me, and I think that another 2 weeks, it shouldn't make that much difference. Pardon me?
To get a degree in engineering, you have to go to college. You
Exactly,
have to vote tech.
exactly.
So obviously 80%, that means 20% of the kids that go to vote tech to be engineers don't.
Well,
get
it's
to
an
college.
engineering program. That doesn't say all the
I know,
kids in
all right,
our
well,
program
all
are
right.
going to go on this college either.
Correct.
It's not ready to be voted on.
Obviously, there's too many questions now.
Okay.
And I don't wanna, stall this out anymore, because
I don't
I
either.
understand you guys wanna have this answers, but
I don't
will
either.
this have any adverse effect on what we do?
No. In
all
fact,
right, then let's get
as
it
far
sorted
as
out.
moving it forward, we wouldn't want to go anywhere past December. We'd be in trouble then, but
Right.
Give an
early
exact date.
December would be
December
better.
what?
I'd like to
When's
do
the
it if
next
we work,
recession?
if we could have a special action item
December 6th is your
on the
reorganization.
6th, if that's possible.
That's
All
fine.
right, that sounds
A
good.
reorganization?
Yeah.
We
why
have a
not?
work
Okay.
session anyway, we'll make it happen.
Fine. All right.
Just that one item.
What was that? Work
If it works.
session
And I'll get
anyway,
you
we'll
the
make it
answer
Okay,
tomorrow.
there's still the motion and second on the floor.
I just-
Table.
Donna,
Yes, sir.
I don't think there's a bigger fan of the Technical Career Center than I am, having been on the board 4 years. And hopefully having a small part in the growth that's going on over there and the excitement of all the new curriculum that's over there. But I don't care if we duplicate it down to the bone. It's still gonna be more kids getting a better education. And I don't think we're taking one student away from the voc tech school. And I don't believe it's going to be a total duplication. It's one's called engineering, the other's called engineering, but that can be an awful lot of things. But for those students that don't go to the voc tech school, I don't think we should deny them this if we think it's a good program, just because we want to funnel them over to the Technical Career Center. So I think we ought to go ahead and have the program for the kids, because that's what we're here for. And we're only talking 30 students maximum at the moment, and I just think we should proceed with it.
But once you started, it does have to progress.
Fine, but I
I
don't
mean,
think,
then
I don't
you've got
think
the 11th
we
grade
determine
and
what
it
we do
becomes
here
60 and it
based on what they do at the Technical Career Center or what Dr. Irwin wants.
I think more importantly than anything, other, separate from that duplication issue that Pat and Terry and maybe some others have, is the fact that we have a lack of sync here with administrators communicating with each other, and we
Right.
have conflicting reports of who said what.
Right.
And that's too many administrators paid well to be on the same page,
Right.
and we're all hearing they're not. And either we've been misinformed, or we misunderstood, or they're not connecting, and I think that extra time to get them to do just that will help all of us out. Bill, I heard what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying. I probably agree with you, I know that
So do
scares
I.
you, but I think that the miscommunications back and forth here are a little bit alarming. There's a motion and a second on the table, make it a roll call, Ms. Liberowski.
What's the motion?
To table.
The table till
Thank you.
December 6th.
B and C.
December 6th, Ms. Liberowski?
Yes.
Okay.
Allen,
No?
Hill,
Yes.
Mosey,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Prokowski,
Yes.
Scher,
Yes.
Sherpinski,
No.
Mengel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All righty. C, continue, Donald.
We would table
We would table that also.
Okay. All right.
You're down to D.
Move on to D. Item 4D, recommend approval of technology purchases as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shapinsky, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4E, recommend approval of general construction contract credit change order in the amount of $30,615 from Rosetto Construction. Original contract sum was $7,776,000. New contract sum, including credit change order, $7,745,385.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Prokowski. Isn't it nice to get change back
Yeah,
like this on
for
a
a
project?
change.
It's just absolutely unbelievable.
Does John get credit for this or Art?
They both get credit, but it doesn't give them rights to spend it. But they definitely get the bragging rights. It's not only under budget, it's even more under budget.
Yeah.
So, John, thank you, and pass that on to
Yes.
Father Art. Okay. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4F, recommend approval of plumbing contract change order in the amount of $16,779.29 from Integrity Mechanical Incorporated. Original contract sum was $539,800. New contract sum, including this credit change order, $523,020.71.
Motion by Scher, second by Prokowski. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4G, recommend approval of roofing contract credit change order in the amount of $4,223 from DDP Contracting Company Incorporated. Original contract sum, $1,109,900. New contract sum, including credit change order, $1,105,677.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Prokowski. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And ching ching, keep going.
And finally, recommend approval of HVAC contract credit change order in the amount $136.80 from Eastern Construction Associates Incorporated. Original contract sum $1,831,000. New contract sum, including credit change order, $1,830,863.20.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Prokowski. That's great. No change too small. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's a sweep. Thanks.
Item 4I, recommend acceptance of the following gifts to the district as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
4J, recommend award of the asphalt paving bid as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by Sherpinski. Help me real quick. John, I know it's here. Who is it? Who's the
Bobby
paver?
Cole.
Is it Bobby Cole? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Abstain.
Abstain. I need 2 sheets.
Two abstentions.
Yeah.
Who were they?
Bill and myself. Can't read him. I can't wait to read his abstention paper.
I just doing it because you want.
Plays poker. Plays poker on Friday nights with it, right, Bill?
Okay, personnel, keep hopping.
Item 4K, 1A, nominations.
So
Item BA,
moved.
4-F.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item KB, resignations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Hill. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4D, contract change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Hill. Questions?
You want
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item E, position change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item F, leave of absence.
Your turn. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. One question. Solicitor, I said yay to another vote on here because it went so fast that I should have abstained on.
Yeah, pay attention.
How do I change your vote?
Can't.
You can't.
You lied.
To abstain?
Live with it.
You allow you before the public live with it.
Let the press know which one it is so they can nail you for it.
Yeah, just have her notify Christine that you'd
Christine,
like to
note
change
for
your vote.
under nominations. I have an abstention on one of the security officers that was hired. If I can have 2 forms now. Okay, keep going.
Item 4K2, recommend approval of the professional and support staff substitute list for the 1999-2000 school year.
Second.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Mosey. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4K3, recommend approval of additions and changes to the extra duty assignments for the 99-2000 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 4K4, recommend approval of salary increases for degree improvement for professional staff as listed.
So moved.
Motion by Prokowski, second by Hill. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you can clarify this for me or not, Mr. Sowers. I'm looking at your degree improvement schedule you gave us. I see old salary totaling $950,806, and I see new salary of $1,126,679, and I see the total increase of $64,000. If I add $64,000 to $950, I only come up with $1,014,000, not $1,126,000. Am I doing something wrong here?
No,
Your
I
total
don't.
on the back shows the old salary at $950.
Right.
We show increases of $64,000, which comes up to $1,014,000, and yet you're showing a new salary of $1,126,000. Somehow we're off by $12,000, or $112,000.
Yeah, this analysis should foot and cross-foot in accounting
I know.
jargon, so we'd have to pull the personnel records and see
Well,
what.
I'm just saying, you know, we should have totals coming out to either $1,014,000 or $1,126,000, and it's not doing it.
Have you taken that Excel course yet?
I think,
Okay,
I think until we get to correct numbers, I don't know how you can vote on this. You got incorrect numbers here you're voting on. You could be voting for another $112,000.
Jim, are the numbers incorrect? Is Mr. Mosey correct that what is on that sheet that's before us is incorrect?
The total is incorrect, it's not cross-footing, but the individual descriptions for the individual staff members, as I'm glancing down here, are correct, so you have some type of a formula problem here on the second page.
So you're saying the 950 is correct and the 64,000 is correct, the 1,126,000 is incorrect?
I've got to have, yeah, I mean, if you just look, I'm just glancing.
I don't know how you can, you're gonna vote on this number, I don't know how we can do that.
Aren't you saying that the individual items
We
are
vote on
correct,
the
but the
salaries.
total, something's wrong with the total,
Right.
it looks like?
Okay, who had the motion in the second, Ms. Liberowski?
Kowski and Hill.
Kowski and Hill, what's your pleasure?
We don't vote on that total.
Are we bound by contract to approve it tonight? Are we approving the increases, or are we approving the dollar amount? Are we doing both? Can we approve the
Both.
You're doing both.
increases
You're doing
without?
both. You're doing both.
Well, then we can't approve it. We gotta withdraw.
The difference
Degree
is
improvement is allowed by contract, and the amount, of course, is based on where they were out on the
The
scale.
difference is 64,000, I've added that up real fast.
How do you get that?
I just did, and I got 67.
Add up the differences, where it says increase here, add them up in your head, in thousands of dollars. My daughter does it in rounding.
No,
Okay,
no, I'm
folks,
going by
folks,
the
folks,
total.
if it is wrong, it is wrong. This is Mickey Mouse for us to do any
You're
counting
right.
whatsoever.
You're
That's
right.
his job.
You're right.
I'm assuming these are right when I get it. I don't take the time like Pat is to see if
Okay,
it was added.
But we
right.
found a situation, it's been brought to
Right.
our attention, and we can either do something about it or we can overlook it.
What do you mean overlook
Can you
it?
double check these?
We only approve 100 100.
I'm being a bit facetious, it's been determined that they're wrong. The motion and the second is on the floor. Are the people that placed them out there still comfortable? If they're not, pull them back.
I'm
If people are comfortable, leave them there.
I'm comfortable with approving the old step level, the old salary, the new step level, and the new salary, if, according to Mr. Sowers, that is correct.
No, he says it's in, the one, what you're.
He said the
what you have.
tally,
The total's
The
incorrect,
total
but
is
the
incorrect.
individual
total's
salary,
incorrect.
which is what we vote on, is incorrect. He could put this out without a total. You don't have to have a total. He's
Fine.
added the total for our own perspective.
delete the last
In other
line.
words-
If
I'm only
everything else
bringing
is
it up
accurate, then
because
fine.
Right.
you know,
You're
or
right, it's a wrong amount, but what we approve are the Gwinnett Square, the person by name for the new salary of $40,804. And we approve the next person at $45,905. Now, Jim, if you feel that, you didn't work from a total backwards, I'm sure, so obviously, that's just a matter of perhaps the math being entered or keyed in wrong. It could be.
Okay, there's a
We don't
motion and a
know.
second on the table. Are there any other questions?
If the individual salary is
Can we
correct,
withdraw the last line of this page and do the motion on the names without the
the
tally?
total's not
The
on.
totals are not.
What are we
on.
approving? The names and the numbers?
Yeah, each
Yes, but
individual.
you're only approving
I don't have a problem
the
approving the
individual.
names and their salaries
That's
and
what
their
it says.
salaries.
There's a motion and a second on the table. Are there any other questions?
The 64,000.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Is that nay?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, Ms. Liberowski.
Allen,
Yes?
Hill.
Yes.
Mosey.
No.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Kirkowski.
Yes.
Scher.
Yes.
Sherpinski.
Yes.
Mengel. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, keep going.
Item 4L, student travel, recommend approval as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
And reference the vandalism report, item BA9, no vote required.
Right.
Student travel. You missed student travel.
No, we did.
Got 4 or 5.
You did.
We just went.
Excuse me, I missed one. My apologies. Item 4K5.
Okay.
Recommend approval of additions to the homebound
Right.
teachers list for the 1999-2000 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Scher, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Other business?
Item 5A,
I'm sorry.
recommend approval to appoint Thomas J. Whalen to the North Penn School District Authority for a 5-year term effective January 1, year 2000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by Hill. Any questions?
Didn't we vote to dissolve this authority?
Can't.
Oh, we can't.
State law.
That was the North
That's
Lawn.
what the same.
As long as the old
We
money on the
dissolved the one
building.
That
at
was the
boat
Monco
pad.
one.
Yeah, Monco when we
Okay,
dissolved.
okay.
This is that big donut fest they have once a year.
Once a year, everybody gets a donut.
And then past board members get to go to the donut fest. Any other questions?
You're next.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Crime Commission tip line discussion is going to be a little lame if you want to bother at all, because I received a little note. Donna, although we would like to stay till the end, we both are expected at a very, very early morning meeting. John Appledorn and Bob. So you're missing the folks that you wanted to talk to about. So why don't we reschedule them again for December 6th? It's an idea.
Or.
We'll wait to hear back from the
Why can't
committee.
we move forward? It's like what
Wanna
Vince
move
said
forward with
last
that? We
time.
ready to move forward with that?
You know, you'll never get enough information now. We already asked for policies to go out last Friday.
You know what, I'm not worried about that among ourselves, but we did promise this to the community. And they did wait here for quite some time. They left about, I guess it was about 10. Okay, I'll wait for a recommendation from the committee. It doesn't have to be made right now. We can get it out in memo form and have it properly advertised by Christine. Okay? Folks, I recommend a motion that the school district solicitor be authorized to conduct a candidate search for a human resources director. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Sherpinski, second by O'Donnell. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Why are we having a solicitor and not the normal administrators?
I believe there was concern voiced to me by a number of board members that there was great disappointment in some of the research that was done on the applicants, that maybe situations could be avoided if there was a more intense search done by somebody like an attorney.
What makes them qualified to evaluate human resource people?
I guess because they hire their own.
I
And
don't-
because of what is allowable and what is not, and the advice that we can be given.
As I
I
understand.
think it's
Questions we can
a
ask.
bad precedent, and it's not the way to run an organization.
I agree.
Mr. Sherpinski?
We had this conversation at a personnel meeting, and this was discussed with the superintendent and Dr. Venema. They did not disagree with it. And this was a recommendation that was made to them. I'm not trying to set a precedent with this type of an idea, but we've obviously had some difficulties in the past with this situation, just recently. And I think it's more appropriate that we handle it this way. Now, they're not, the regular process of the selection is not gonna change. We're still gonna have Bob and his cabinet work through that selection process, and hopefully they'll include a few of us board members this time.
Oh, it'd be nice.
But the issue here is that the actual advertising and initial process of collecting the names will be handled by the solicitor this time.
You didn't do that at potty time?
Well, that's the clarity I was looking for, Vince, because my understanding was it wasn't like they were gonna go through the search process. They were gonna take the
They're
front
gonna
end of
facilitate
it.
the process, right?
Of advertising and putting out that search, and then once all those apps come back in, it would be nice for us to get an update and actually learn how many applicants actually applied, have the opportunity to come in and look through those applications. I don't agree necessarily that they have to flow out to us at home, but have the same opportunity we've had in other searches.
Don't go on
to take a
vacation.
look.
In the past,
And don't go
the
on
way the
vacation.
processes
And
work,
don't go on-
that you guys have
Five
played a
of you
big part
stay
in the
here.
selection and the screening of candidates.
I would
I want
just-
that, I
I
want that
think
to
the
come
whole
again.
board should have some.
I would just like to recommend that I remember when I first got on the board, and we had some key appointment hirings, like the high school principal. I really liked the way Dr. Bose did it. He collected the resumes. We had an opportunity, there was a committee, a personnel committee, and there was 3 or 4 board members, three board members, I think, sat on it. We came in and had the opportunity to review the resumes, and then there was a meeting of that committee, and the committee, one by one, made a suggestion as to who they wanted to come in for an interview. And that committee interviewed, and I thought it was a very good process, and I think it worked well, and I would like to recommend, although I'm not gonna be here, but I'd like to recommend the board go back to that. I think it'd be a much fairer way to do it.
You know what that brought to the table?
Now, is the
that's-
solicitor gonna go to an agency, or is he gonna handle?
No, handle it
We're
himself.
not gonna have someone like Deloitte and Touche or someone, okay.
Uh-uh. A couple of hirings here in the past have taken some legal twists and turns and questions
You're
that have
right.
come from the board that maybe we can preclude this way, glean properly, and then candidates.
As long as we're not gonna
forward.
be going through some agency and then we have
No.
another bill attached to
No.
this. It's-
And also
it's-
look to include not only a traditional role, but perhaps someone out there with experience in school personnel from that's now in the private sector
I
under a
know.
consulting agreement,
I know.
similar to what we have with Mr. Sowers. I think we should give some consideration to looking at having a little bit of income from that position with strict accountability for the board.
That's fine. Okay, folks, all right, let's stop for just a second so these young people can change the tape. You cool?
We're running.
Okay, can you get a real good close-up of the birthday boy? Mr. Sherpinsky here on the end? This is what 40 looks like. He's lost his sense of
You're
humor.
gonna vote on your motion?
Yes, there's a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, roll call.
Roll call, you said everybody said yea?
No, we
That's what
didn't.
Bill said.
Oh, Bill said no?
Bill. Frank.
Hill?
Hill.
Yes, I'm here. Present. Yes.
I'm out.
Moses.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Prokowski.
Yes.
Sure.
And you're gonna live for this
Yes.
one?
Sherpinsky.
Yes.
Allen.
No.
Mengel.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. Direct the administration to start the process to search for a program director for the Extended School Care Committee based upon the job description and requirements for the position as outlined in the Extra School Care Committee report.
Second.
Motion by Hill and second by Mosey. Questions? All right?
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Comment?
Sure, anything. On the board.
When the process started, I was very happy with the program we had and didn't believe that we should be doing this ourselves. I didn't make any comments because I wanted to be as open-minded as I could to the committee that was doing the work. I wanted to be convinced that changing and doing it ourselves was the right thing to do. We've been talking about that train that's been coming, and I promise I won't mention that train or the new millennium. You know, I'm tired of hearing that one too. Through the discussions tonight, the question and answers, I have not heard any compelling reason why we should do it. I'm philosophically opposed to us getting into this business like Donna is. We're not in I know.
Same sentence.
Look out for me to your
monumental
Should we
night.
further chat?
Yes.
Monumental night.
However,
They agreed to.
on a more practical basis, as I go through the numbers that are in the handout we had, it seems, if I listen to the conversation, that our projected revenues are too high and our projected expenses are too low. But even if we keep those numbers in mind, we're showing a, quote, profit of $250,000 the first year. And then if we just go straight line to the second year, take out the first year startup supply costs of $97,500, round that up to 100, we're at roughly $400,000 of it, and $400,000 is a number that I believe is much too high based on the numbers here. I look at what are we doing to get $400,000? How many people are we hiring? How much space do we need in this building? How much of these people's time are we taking up for $400,000? I don't believe all that time and effort is worth $400,000. That's not a good return on the investment that we're having. I would rather see these people putting their time into educating children in our current programs. More importantly than that is this program was started and continued for the benefit of our parents and for the well-being of our students. It's not to be a money maker in my mind, and if we did make money, I believe we should either reduce the cost to the parents or put the money back into the before and after school program. So I don't want to look at this as a profit maker, because I don't think it's right that we overcharge our parents for the service we're giving them. So having said all that, I do not think we should proceed with this. I think we should leave the program in as it is. We have not had any groundswell support to get rid of the current provider of the program. It's been in business with us, I believe, 7 to 9 years. I'm not sure how many. And I guess I have heard maybe 3 or 4 complaints over all that time. And if you look at all the students that go through the program, 180 days, all the chances we have for incidents with children, to say that we've had 4 complaints, 5 complaints, 10 complaints, to me is insignificant. The parents want the program, the children want the program, and that's what it's for. It's not for us to create a bureaucracy. It's not for us to make money off the parents. And I believe we should keep what we have and allow our people to educate children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
Just like to add really that in your selection, for rather in the motion here, eventually we see a list of those people coming forward. I wouldn't want to turn away somebody because of the $55,000 salary in there.
Madam President, if I
Yes,
could. I served on the initial committee that Mr. Schilling chaired, and along with Mr. O'Donnell. And I haven't said anything tonight, but you know, I sat here and I heard, I have been a strong proponent of this because, number one, I am concerned about the liability factor, and I've said that from day one, that we have basically an outside contractor using our facilities, and God forbid if something catastrophic happens, our pockets are deeper than hers. Number two, I don't see an overcharge because I don't know what Central Bucks proposal was, but I know the proposal that we received when Mr. O'Donnell and I sat in the committee of Mr. Schilling, the cost to the parents were going to be low and providing a better service. Number two, we're concerned about the fact that we're going to make money. Well, why isn't anybody concerned about the fact that the present provider's making a profit? I haven't heard one person upset about that. An outside contractors using our facilities, making a profit, but yet it's taboo for the school district to maybe get involved and make some money that we could use to put back into our schools and maybe relieve some of the burden on the taxpayer. And I'm sorry, I don't think that I will support your motion, Mr. Hill, because I think that other school districts have done it, and I supported, we did it last year, and we were told we didn't have enough time. Now we have enough time, and I'm going to support that we move forward. And I give you and your committee courage for even bringing it up, because it was a long night tonight, and we knew there was going to be a lot of discussion about it, and I just think it's time that we either we make the move or we don't. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Me, please. I keep hearing this implication that we're taking away from our other staff to run this program, and yet everything inside this proposal has been designed to avoid that. I too don't believe the school district should be in the daycare business. It will be run as an enterprise fund. There will be no mingling of the dollars into the general fund, so that at the very end of the year with an audit, we'll be able to see exactly what the dollars are and all the costs will be designated there. I don't think it could get any more than keeping it independent, with the exception that, yes, it is a district-run program, but the whole internal structure for running it is separate and apart. The only other difference there'll be is that there'll be closer communication for input from our principals as far as the flexibility of space, a better working relationship there because it is an in-house program, greater accountability. When we do get those few calls that do come in with the taking issue of a certain situation at a particular school, I've seen us revisit this maybe 6 times since I've been on this board. And we've spent a considerable amount of hours coming close, but not quite doing it. I was one of those board members who last May, when this vote was on the table, would not vote to switch over to an in-house program when other board members thought there was plenty of time between then and September. We're now sitting here in November, and there's been months of work to set out a plan here. And the issue was, I wouldn't have risked us not being ready in September last year at the time that it was brought to the table. I feel comfortable now that we have a plan that, unless somebody really fumbles badly on the field, there is absolutely no reason why we can't have a quality program ready by September. And quite frankly, we're also looking forward to moving to a summer program the following year, something that doesn't exist today. There's many benefits yet that haven't yet come out into this program that I believe that once it gets going, we're going to have a whole different attitude and reception. It'll be like the parents who moved to NAP.
Madam President.
And
Madam President, don't fall off your chair, but this is one of the few times I'll agree with what you're saying.
Oh, this is just bad marriages around the way. Phew.
Well, this was easy. I knew Don. I said, oh, this is a setup putting me on this committee, right?
Man. Yeah, this is a keeper. This is your last gatekeeper.
Is right.
Well, when Don put me on this committee, I said, he's holding up the sword. Am I going to fall on it? And yes, I did.
Well, beats a kiss on the lips.
I worked very hard. It's not an easy vote, but I think it's the right thing to do.
All righty. Call for the question by roll call, please, Ms. Liberowski.
Mosey,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Kirkowski,
Yes.
Scher,
Yes.
Shapinsky,
Yes.
Allen,
No.
Hill,
Yes.
Mengel.
No.
Motion carries.
All right. The only thing under other business I have here is a bittersweet opportunity here to say goodbye to Patrick Mosey in a proper fashion. I have with me, what are you pointing at, Mr.
No,
O'Donnell?
there's some more reports.
Okay, I know.
Under other business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is other
We're still
business.
on other business.
I thought you were-
We have an award of merit for outstanding service to the North Penn School District. Patrick C. Mosey has rendered meritorious service to the students and staff of the North Penn School District and has thereby improved the quality of life in this community. And certainly you have, not just in this community, but in a small way to all the sending districts that are the North Monco Technical Career Center where you spent 4 years. And your 4 years here and your 4 years there is definitely double duty in my opinion. Patrick, we appreciate your time that you have done for us here at North Penn.
Thank you very much. What's this?
Give the kids know to go in the front.
Thank you.
And also, I'd like to thank you on part of the administration for all the work you've done.
Okay.
You've challenged us. We've met the challenge sometimes we haven't, but you've certainly been diligent in your work, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate that.
All righty, Pat, if you go around and hit every hand, yeah. Pat, if you go around and hit every hand here.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
He's still gonna go around the back.
He's still gonna go around the back.
He doesn't listen.
Oh, you want me to go around the front?
He doesn't follow instructions.
I'm so used to walking around the back.
Yeah, but we count on you tripping on the cords up here like the kids do.
Good luck to you. Good.
You haven't challenged him, you tortured him.
Good luck to you, Pat. Thank you.
He's still on committee yet. He has a
That's
couple
right.
more meetings.
That's all right, that's all right. The only other side note we have for Patrick Mosey is that there's been a long-standing agreement here on this board that there's no doubt he has the best hair on the board. Does he have great hair? It never moves. It's like a helmet.
I've been told I have the best
It's
ties.
great hair. It looks like Wolf
I've been
Blitzer.
told I have the best ties. I told Lou at the
I
last
think my
meeting.
ties are better, but he's
Told
got
Lou at
great
the
hair.
last meeting that he has a nice tie, and I said, you're gonna have to keep up the tradition.
There you go.
I would just like, not to drag this out, it's almost like old times. I remember our first year or so on the board, we had 11, 12 o'clock meetings. The only thing I would like to say that I thank you for your kind words, and as I've always tried to stay with the issues and not to get too personal. 4 years ago, when I ran, I had very little recognition in the community because they did a poll, and I think my recognition factor was around 9% or something like that. And the people of this community were very kind, and during the election they graced me, and I became the number one vote getter with almost 12,000 votes. And we had a message, and I just want you to know that I've never forgotten that. I accepted your election to this body, and I've always tried to serve it to the best of my ability. And I did try to stay on message, and I think I've done that. My votes were always number one for the students of this community because I'm a strong believer in education. After all, we're going to pass this world on to some of these kids that are going to play football tomorrow night. And secondly, the taxpayers. And I've never forgotten either one of you and every vote. And if you look at the record, every vote that I took, I always tried to keep you in mind. So I thank you for your votes. I thank you for your support. Many people have come up to me in the last couple of months and didn't know that I wasn't running again. I thought, gee, where have you been for the last 9 months, you know? But I do have some personal things I have to take care of in business. And again, I just thank all of you, and it was a real good experience, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Jim Sowers, give us a treasurer's report.
Item 6A, Treasurer's Report as an informational item detailing investments as of October 1999 of $69,401,302. Item 6B, sanction and approval of invoices, grand total of $9,129,014.74.
So moved.
Question by Hill.
Second.
Second by Mosey. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Community ed expenditure of $176. Thought that was a self-sufficient program.
That is the actual bill list for community ed.
Yeah.
So it is self-sustaining, but you do have to approve the list of bills on a monthly.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And we will have financial statements, I would suggest, on a quarterly basis to reflect the timing differences.
Thank you, sir.
In that program.
Very good, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you. Budget transfers.
Item 6C, budget transfers. Recommend approval of budget transfers in the amount of $23,825 for the 1999-2000 fiscal year.
So moved.
Motion by O'Donnell, second by Prokowski. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Item 6D is an informational item, the food service report. Total income year-to-date of $688,355. Total operating expenses of $539,118. Net operating loss of $40,864. Cash or investment balance, $641,296. Total lunches served to the customers, October 1999, $281,487. Total lunches served the previous year, $273,381. Total breakfast customers, 27,757 versus 21,800 the prior year.
What is those breakfasts again?
27,757 versus 21,800.
Can I say, Dottie, I'd like to have a nice.
What are we having for breakfast?
Well, you know, if we wait, if we keep this meeting going, we can have
Yeah, we can
breakfast
have
in no
breakfast
time.
for you.
Find
Just
out,
keep
right?
this going.
I think though,
McDonald's.
Oh, Oh, that McKelvey?
I told you there wasn't enough on those plates for my kids.
I just wanted to note those breakfasts. Let me tell you, we do sell our breakfast for those students that are coming in at 9 a.m. I think was an important element of the daycare program to have a meal included for those that wouldn't have had the money to have it incorporated in, so that we know that at those 7 a.m. arrivals, that there's hot food and a warm breakfast for them to start their day with. And that was a conscientious decision rather than keeping it as a surcharge option type thing. And there's quite
Has
a few
kept a
numbers.
lot of those kids from having tasty cake and Pepsi
That's
for
right.
breakfast, hasn't it?
Really? I mean, can you imagine you're
Is that
working
bad?
parent?
Is that
wrong?
That's not laughing
You know,
Change their eating habits.
working parents scrambling to get ready, grabbing their kids off to a daycare, they think they've had a bowl of cereal, they're on their way to drop them off, and they realize they never really ate.
Question of finance, Mr. Sowers, that we have an outstanding concern about a $1,200 amount of money that should have been paid to our treasurer.
It's my understanding
Hasn't
that-
been, hasn't
He has
received
not
that.
been
That he has not.
Never been paid.
He has, yeah, he told me that he has never been paid.
Okay,
That's
let's just handle it simply by putting together a green sheet on that matter, making that a motion again for December 6th.
This may go back a couple
Wait a
of
minute.
years.
Don,
Yeah, he
this-
told me it goes back a
This
while.
does,
Who is
Mr.
this?
Roman has told me he didn't expect to be paid, it was never utilized for the capacities that he was originally assigned. I brought this to the
Okay,
board a couple
but-
of times, he needs to be brought on board to actually do the reconciling work that he was supposed
Vicki,
to be
I have
doing.
asked Jim Sowers to research this concern, put together a green sheet for the board. If it requires immediate action or whatever it requires is to be recommended on a green sheet and get it to us before the December 6th meeting.
Thank you.
All right, is that it?
One other
For
question.
finance? Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Sowers, can you supply us with the amount of federal program subsidies in food service? Both breakfast and lunch, do you know?
Yes, I can give you, the revenue stream from the previous fiscal year is approximately $860,000 of in additional revenues, and the revenues from the program was 2.7 million. So if you just do that ratio,
All right.
that's the percentage being funded by the federal and state government. But I can also give you a number of customers involved in the program.
Could you forward that information to me?
Okay. Any other questions?
If you're going to do that, Vince, wouldn't it also be good to see how much of that is a reciprocate for a reduced lunch? In other words, some of that money isn't because of.
I'm looking for some
there's-
raw data to do a comparison of how much we get. Yeah.
Yeah, and then some of it though actually comes out of what they pay. In other words, it's not even just
It'll,
for food.
Vicki, the reason I wanted it as an informational item, because that money comes with certain strings.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'd like to know what those strings are
Right,
too,
Exactly.
and just get a better picture of that particular subsidy, because I know that it comes with a lot of things attached to it.
Anytime
And
the
I know
state-
that a couple other school districts recently have gotten rid of this, basically cut themselves loose of the subsidies because of the heavy mandates that come with it. I'm really wondering exactly what that problem is.
I think they're too small to be able to carry it the way we can through Sonora.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd just like to look at that a little
think they have
bit,
a
try to
supply
get a
and
picture
demand
of that.
If anything from the state, you're right, there's always a string.
Okay, federal, state, and other programs, Dr. Benoit.
There's no report.
Oh, geez. Before I ask the solicitor if he has a report, I'd like to just make a mention that the solicitor that's generally here, Michael Yanoff, is a lead player, star, et cetera, in a play with the Upper Dublin Community Theater. It's a character study on him in a show called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And Michael Yanoff has a lead part. We're all going. We're sitting in the spitball section. So we can't wait to see this, and we'd encourage all of you that have any sort of fond feelings or even any hatred towards Michael
There we
Yanoff to
go.
go see him.
There's a story for you.
At the Upper Dublin Community Theater. He's got a leading role, and we're going to go see him. Okay, is there a solicitor's report?
There is no report, Madam President.
Okay,
Wait till
thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Before,
Motion to adjourn? Oh.
comment, please.
Oh, please, by all means.
How old is Mike?
Older than you.
In tonight's reporter, there was a letter to the editor about the previous Central Bucks North Penn football game that showed a deplorable picture of our students, and it really was bad. And I saw the FTB, I thought it meant football, see what a athletic zero I am, but when I saw what it was, When I saw what it was in the article, that was really bad. Really.
But guess what? It was true. I sat there.
Well, I'm sure it was true. That's
Yeah.
what bothers
Oh.
me, is that it was true.
Yeah, that's why.
I believe it was true, because I did see the kids with
those.
those, with that.
We
on
all
them.
sat in that section, and that article has been cut out by Dr. Venema, and he's going to send it to
And I have
Dr. Cotter.
two things to
Thank you.
discuss with Dr. Carter tomorrow.
Thank you.
But yes.
Thank you. You feel better? Mrs.
Yes.
McCaskey, will you sleep better tonight?
No, I have to practice my spitballs.
You got something to say?
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else?
Donna?
Yes. Mac?
When we were looking into slogans for the back, for the North Penn like shirts. for
It
the
was-
team,
it
that
was the-
Definitely like shot down by Dr. Cotter, so he knows that it's a problem. He's aware of the fact that students shouldn't have those three initials on any card. It's kind of hard for, I think it's hard for them to regulate it at the games.
It's not about regulation now. It's about the decency of our kids, that I thought was a lot higher, a lot more respectable. That's the part.
The kids should have been cursing. I mean, I'm listening, I was right here, my daughter's here. I even asked one girl if she'd please sit down. She looked at my daughter and just said, "The hell with her," so she could have a standing view only, and the hell with me and my daughter and everybody else that was around me. And she was next to the group of students. And you know who I'm talking about.
There was a young boy next to me where I was, and I wasn't near this group. I was and he was booing when the kids came on. And I told him that was impolite. And he looked at me like I was weird. I said, "Go ask your dad." He did. When his dad came back later, his dad agreed with me, thank God. But we have to teach the kids. When we were in school, we weren't allowed to boo.
This girl's dad.
But our parents would beat us. I mean, they're.
Well, let's go,
between
parents.
back.
This girl's dad even said it was okay for his daughter to stand in front of my daughter.
Okay.
And
Folks,
That's
the
all.
message
That's
is
all.
taken.
Thank
Mac,
you.
I appreciate what
Yes,
you
I
said
appreciate what you
in
said,
defense
too.
of Dr. Cotter,
Yes.
what he did attempt to do before that game. I think emotions got carried away, and at this point, it's not just on to Dr. Cotter, it's on
No.
to students,
Yeah.
the school, and
Yes.
the parents. And it's
I-
an effort on all of our parts to see that we
You know, I
keep
wonder.
higher standards.
They're doing ESPN's doing a documentary. I wonder if that was on their tape.
They were out there,
They were there.
believe me, they were there, you could see them.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, do we all want to say goodbye to Carrie Beavers? Is this your last meeting?
Hey,
Bye.
This came back for you.
Can we get a close up of Carrie Beavers? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Harry, where you going?
Which one?